Greetings and salutations, freedom loving people the world over. So much is happening in Canada right now, and there still appears to be quite the media blackout. Though now some mainstream media outlets are at least mentioning the perhaps tens or maybe 100,000 people protesting in Canada right now. Lots going on, lots to cover. I have a great deal of information to share with you that you may not get on a mainstream news outlet. But before we get started, be sure to check out a link in the description to our Patreon. Become a member for as little as $1 a month for uncensored content, extra live streams only for members. We do a monthly show journal. There is music and more there. Extra content for those that become members for as little as $1 a month. I suppose the best way to begin would be with the story of GoFundMe. For those unaware, the Freedom Convoy raised some $10 million with GoFundMe. GoFundMe has frozen those funds. Most are saying under pressure from government sources, they caved. So it's interesting to note that GoFundMe has, in the past, GoFundMe has allowed funding for Chaz or CHOP, even after people were murdered. They still allowed those groups to crowdfund on their platform. However, apparently, peacefully protesting or driving your truck into Ottawa is too much. It's important to note also that GoFundMe allowed Portland rioters to crowdfund on their platform. They have allowed BLM to crowdfund on their platforms. They have allowed Antifa to crowdfund on their platform. But Canadian truckers who apparently, are staging a peaceful protest, so far it's been very peaceful. And I have been really plugged in to watching live streams daily of this event. I haven't seen violence. In fact, I've seen quite the opposite. So it's interesting that a crowdfunding company like GoFundMe would suddenly decide they cannot use their platform. Now, I want to cite fair use. This is a transformative work, and we're educating the public. We'll put our fair use banner up. I've got a really good report about this GoFundMe from Just Incredible. Shout out to Just Incredible, doing just a great job keeping people up to date with what's actually going on the ground there. So let me share that with you, my friends, and welcome all freedom-loving people. It's good to see there is support. The support is growing for these people. Yes, so this is a report from Just Incredible's channel. GoFundMe shut down the fundraiser. Here's how to help. Let's begin with this, my friends. 1 second, let me do that once more. And here we are, friends.
All right, big news, big news. The GoFundMe has been suspended. They caved to political pressure, and there was a lot of pressure from the powers that ought not to be to shut down the GoFundMe. Anybody that did send it, by the way, it was over $10 million when it got frozen. It's unbelievable. And I think there's going to be a massive, massive boycotts now against GoFundMe. So if you donated to GoFundMe, you can apply for a refund by February 19th. The details are right on their site. There are other ways to help. The truckers already got $1 million out of that. And they also have an e-transfer set up. But as far as I know, like just over half of people viewing my videos are here in Canada. And a big chunk of the other half is from the US. And I know a lot of U.S. Viewers were supporting, but you can't e-transfer to us, and we can't e-transfer to you. So they do have an e-transfer email address set up for Canadians to send whatever they'd like to donate, and then it just bypasses GoFundMe and all these third parties, basically. They also have a Facebook group. So I'm going to put that link in the description below so you can follow along and you can see if there's other ways to help, and you can ask questions there as well. I mean, I can't really see any other way to do it. Like, I don't want to get involved on the financial side of things. I know people have offered to send me money. I mean, I don't want your money. I have a buy me a coffee button on my homepage here on YouTube. You can always do that, but I'm not looking for cash. I would rather support
Good for
the
him.
truckers. You know, maybe I'll sell shirts or t-shirts or something and then give the proceeds to the truckers through e-transfer, because I can e-transfer. So if the money's in my account, I can send it to them. I don't know. Maybe we'll figure something out, but I had to let you guys know this for now.
Yeah, and good for him, because I've seen people in his live chat who are offering to send him money, and he keeps saying, "No, don't send it to me. Let's figure out how to get it to those truckers." Good for him, because he could be selfish and just collect a bunch of money here due to his coverage of the event. However, he would prefer that the money go to the truckers. And there is some interesting things happening on the ground with the truckers, insofar as supplies, fuel, food, and water supplies. And it's interesting to see the Canadian government apparently trying to restrict the truckers from obtaining supplies and having, the basic essentials like food, water, and fuel.
We want to do everything we can to make sure those guys have food and supplies. By the way, one thing you won't see on the mainstream news is the truckers were out there feeding the homeless in the streets in Ottawa. So, I mean, they're doing such amazing things there, not just standing up for our rights and freedoms.
Yeah. So apparently, the truckers, they're setting up, these, food stations. There's thousands of people there, and people need to eat. So there's many people all across the protests who are, giving away food, and they're also giving food to homeless people. So, the Canadian government is accusing them of stealing food from homeless people. No, that's not the case. They're actually feeding homeless people. Get it right, mainstream media.
So we need to support them any way we can, but I had to let you guys know this is breaking news, and it was just frozen this afternoon. And you know that Trudeau is smiling from ear to ear right now, and so are the
Yeah, he's smiling from his hideout. Remember that Justin Trudeau is a coward. This man ran away from the protests right before they arrived in Ottawa. Remember, he ran away to a secret cottage somewhere. Nobody's allowed to know where Justin Trudeau is. After he ran away from these truckers before they arrived, most of them arrived in Ottawa, and the protests really began. Remember, he cowardly escaped to a secret location. Then Mr. Trudeau released a statement claiming that he will not be intimidated. And I just have to laugh at a guy who ran away and then releases a statement talking about, I'm not going to be intimidated.
few detractors out there who pressured GoFundMe. So, I think we need to show GoFundMe that cancel culture is very real, and they're about to be canceled.
Good for Justin Credible. Good for Justin Credible. Go visit his site. You'll be glad that you did. So we have more news on the apparent GoFundMe blocking their. GoFundMe has blocked the truckers, and there's more news about that. I have a report that Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida today said, quote, "You cannot just commandeer funds. That's fraud," unquote. And Governor DeSantis has pledged to use every means at his disposal to investigate GoFundMe and their business practices with the Florida State Attorney General. So good to see at least one politician is standing up to the, I believe, immoral and unethical actions of GoFundMe. How can they allow things like Chaz and Chop, to be crowdfunded, even after people are murdered. But suddenly, a bunch of truckers getting together to honk their horns and peacefully protest and try to have their voices heard cannot crowdfund on their platform. This is the height of hypocrisy. But this is apparently, this is nothing new. Okay, so I have an article here that we'd like to share with you. And this is from Mercury News. Redwood City crowdfunding company GoFundMe on Friday shut down a campaign that raised more than $10 million for Canada's trucker convoy. Protest against vaccine mandates that has gridlocked the nation's capital and filled it with ceaselessly honking trucks and unruly and impolite protesters. I haven't seen that. In scenes reminiscent of the insurrection, yes, there are media outlets like this that are comparing what is happening in Canada with the January 6th event in the United States. This article goes on to state that the protest led by would-be conservative politician named Tamara Litch, who plays guitar in her band, Medicine Hat, Alberta, was sparked by the Canadian government rule requiring unvaccinated truckers crossing into Canada from the U.S. get COVID tests and quarantine for 2 weeks. Police in the city of Capital have warned this week that guns appears to have been brought into the protest area. Officials said in a news release they have evidence of violence, crimes, and unlawful behavior, and that many crimes have not been officially reported, including assaults, hate crimes, sexual assault, spitting, and other threatening and criminal behavior. And that this is one side of the story. However, I've been glued to live streams for days, and I have seen, I'm not saying there isn't any violence, but I just haven't seen it. And there are reporters on the ground saying, where's the violence? Where's the crime? The protest, the article goes on to state that the protest included streams of vehicles coming from across Canada converging in Ottawa starting January 29th. It evolved to include a range of grievances related to virus restrictions, with left-leaning Prime Minister Justin Trudeau targeted with profane vitriol. Yeah, he's been targeted. Meanwhile, he's calling these people racists and a fringe minority. And we're going to see some of that fringe minority today, because I'm starting to believe that the fringe minority is actually the Canadian government. In a poll I recently read, apparently more than half of the Canadian citizens polled do not support these mandates, do not want these restrictions, and would prefer that all restrictions be lifted. Former U.S. President Donald Trump on Friday praised the protest in a news release, saying participants were peacefully protesting the harsh policies of far-left lunatic Justin Trudeau, who has destroyed Canada with insane mandates. Tesla's CEO Elon Musk also earlier tweeted support for the protest. The Guardian newspaper reported Friday that U.S. organizers were operating a convoy to D.C. 2022 Facebook group that quickly gained more than 100,000 members and announced a convoy next month. Facebook's parent company, Meta, shut down the group, but organizers have moved to Telegram messaging service, according to the newspaper. Interestingly, I should point out that it appears that Facebook, at least in the United States where I am, is heavily censoring anyone sharing anything related to the Canadian protest. Good luck. Even memes apparently are too much for Facebook. Memes are too much truth, apparently. So there is a concerted effort by Facebook to clamp down on anyone sharing content related to this protest. And Facebook shut down a group, a United States group that is planning to do a similar convoy to Washington, D.C. Shut them down, 100,000 members. And what reasoning did they give? Apparently, they decided that that group had something to do with the 17th letter of the alphabet conspiracy, which, again, is heavily censored on Facebook. So they shut the group down. The number of trucks in the protests, also called the Freedom Convoy, has been hotly debated. Litch had claimed in a Facebook post about 50,000 heavy trucks were headed to Ottawa, but other reports suggest the number is far lower, with many cars and pickup trucks involved, and the total might be slightly over 1,000. Now, I got to tell you, I've been looking at these live streams. For somebody to suggest that there's only 1,000 trucks, boy, are these people desperate to downplay this thing. And we're also going to see some examples of CBC, that's the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, purposefully manipulating their coverage to make the protest look as small as possible. That's right. People have caught them on streets that aren't part of the protest, showing, look, there's not many people here. Meanwhile, 2 streets over, there's thousands of trucks, truckers, and tens of thousands of people protesting. Canada's national broadcaster, the CBC, reported January 29th that thousands of protesters have converged on the federal government near the center of Ottawa. On Friday, GoFundMe sent out a blog post that they reviewed the situation in Ottawa, talked several times with the local police and city officials, and found the trucker convoy fundraising campaign to violate their terms of service. And I just want to ask GoFundMe, you allowed Chaz to fundraise on your platform even after people were murdered in Chaz. So apparently people can be murdered and you let them fundraise, but suddenly these truckers are violating the terms of GoFundMe service. The Redwood study firm said that it had released $1 million of the funds earlier this week after confirming that organizers had provided a clear distribution plan for the money to be used, only for participants who traveled to Ottawa to participate in a peaceful protest. However, GoFundMe said, given how the situation has evolved, no further funds will be directly distributed to the Freedom Convoy organizers. Donors may submit requests for refunds, and any remaining funds will be given to charity. So it would appear that GoFundMe has decided they're just going to refund the money, and anybody who doesn't request a refund, whatever money's left, they're going to give the money to a charity of their choice, GoFundMe said. And I just want to ask, how is that legal? This is not their money. They have no right to hold the money or give it to a charity of their choice. This money was intended to go to these truckers and these peaceful protesters. GoFundMe has absolutely no right to stop them from getting the money that people sent in good faith. Everyone who sent money in wanted it to go to those truckers. They didn't want it to go to a charity that GoFundMe decides. The article goes on to state that Canadians across the country have expressed outrage over reports that protesters had defiled the National War Memorial, which honors Canadian war dead and was the site of the 2014 murder of a Canadian soldier on sentry duty. Related protests have spread to other Canadian cities ahead of a planned demonstration in Vancouver on Saturday. A local health authority warned its workers to avoid wearing scrubs outside during the protest and told them, please do not ask protesters to put on a face mask, the CTV network reported. The Canadian Trucker Alliance, the primary group representing Canadian truckers, has disavowed the protest, and we have covered that before. So this article is heavily slanted against these protesters and their peaceful protest, painting them as violent extremists, racists, and more. And I just have to say that this is the greatest media manipulation of an event I have ever seen in my lifetime. I have never seen this much manipulation to try to smear peaceful protesters, to try to minimize how many people are there, how many trucks are there, the size of the actual protest and amount of protesters. I have never seen this much media manipulation in all my life. But it would appear that many independent media producers are fighting the good fight and getting the actual truth about what's actually happening on the ground out to the public. And I'm thankful for that. You cannot stop all of us. That would be my message to these tyrants and these despots that think they're going to lean on the media, make the media do their will, paint these people as racist and violent. There's no violence there, friends. Look at the live streams. These people are having a party and honking their horns and saying no more. They are standing up for their freedom. They are standing up for their rights. And by the way, it's important to note that according to Canadian law, you can travel anywhere in the country you want to. And you have a right to pursue a means of earning a living. These mandates, to many, are actually not legal. They are against the Canadian Constitution and the Charter of Rights that Canadians all enjoy. Why then will the leader of Canada not meet with these peaceful protesters and start a dialogue to try to reach some resolution? After all, this is more than a week of this. They've shut an entire city down. There's gridlock there. Now, some people are, against that or against them honking their horns. But I have to say, we have various reports that, yes, they're honking their horns, but they don't want to piss off the local residents or bother people. Canadians, by and large, are very kind people. So at 10 o'clock, they stop honking their horns. I think that's reasonable. It's also important to note that the temperature outside in Ottawa today feels like negative 22. So God bless these people who are willing to brave that kind of harsh environment here. 1 second. Brave these harsh environments here. Whoa, we have a breaking news feed. 1 second. Looks like police are moving in to try to break up the protests, and we have a live feed courtesy of Paper Bag News. We're going to bring that live feed to you, and I apologize, Paper Bag News. Here is live protests, worldwide protests, live coverage in Ottawa, Toronto, and more. Important to note that these protests have spread to other countries. Other cities in Canada are beginning to protest and gather to have their voices heard. It would appear that Mr. Trudeau's characterization of this protest as a fringe minority of people with dangerous ideas was premature and stupid. Looks like police are beginning to line up. I'm not quite sure what's happening here on the ground, but it's interesting. I have seen various reports of police being very supportive of these peaceful protesters, saying that they have the right to exercise their freedom of speech and have their voices heard. Interestingly, however, the chief of police of Ottawa has come out saying that any police officer who assists these protesters, and he mentioned something about food, water, or fuel, or logistics help, would be prosecuted. So we've got the police on the ground saying that these are peaceful protesters, and it's been quiet. I've seen various people, stop a police person on the street or in their car and ask them how things were going, and the police are saying it's been very peaceful. These people have a right to exercise their free speech. However, the chief of police has a different idea about police being helpful. In fact, threatening police, apparently, with prosecution, should they provide or render any assistance to these peaceful protesters. Again, the totalitarian clampdown appears to be in full effect. The government and the authorities are doing the best they can to try to clamp down on these protests, right? It's sad to see this. I've always known Canadian people to be kind and gentle people. I lived for a time in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I've been to Canada myself. There was a lot of Canadians in Green Bay, sort of transplants. I don't see any violence here. In fact, I see quite the opposite. I see a lot of patriotic people who have had enough, standing up to the totalitarian system that is trying to take away their rights and continually restrict them. We have all been through the ringer here for 2 years, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. We're on to 2+ years now, right? Well, March is rapidly approaching. I think that many people have had enough, and many people are tired of these totalitarian regimes who think that they can just forever interfere in our lives, disrupt our lives. You know, I have family that fought in World War II. Those people didn't fight in World War II, so I would have to show papers to eat a meal in a restaurant. But this is where we find ourselves, and this is where we're at, friends. Okay, just checking in with Paper Bag News here, and thanks for providing these. Oh, I've had the sound off, so I apologize.
They're having a sweet, peaceful freedom party, and it's horrible. Yeah, and they're definitely clearing.
Yeah, so we will be returning to that live feed, which looks like the best live feed that we've got, courtesy of Paper Bag News. Thanks for that. I have a bunch of things to share. So I'll be sharing that with you. Let's move on over. Interestingly, I tried to post some things on Facebook earlier and was unable to. Now, I'm not sure if Facebook in the United States is clamping down on people posting things, but I've heard various reports that they indeed are. But I was able to post some things I've been collecting throughout the day. You know, I think these things are important to share to help and tell the story. Justin Trudeau called these people racists, which I think is a very laughable thing for Mr. Trudeau to do. After all, we're talking about a politician who literally cannot remember how many times he's worn blackface. And you can Google Justin Trudeau blackface. In fact, he did better than blackface. He did black body. He covered his arms, his legs, his chest, and his face, right? In a mockery of African people, African Americans, African Canadians. But he's going to call other people racists. And here we see a great meme. As Trudeau suggested the protesters were Nazis and other unacceptable people, yet here he is in 2017 autographing a neo-Nazi flag. Am I the only one angered by JT's hypocrisy? Is this acceptable to my fellow Canadians? And yeah, this is from the Post-Millennial. Flashback, Justin Trudeau autographed a neo-Nazi flag in 2017. Here we see on full display the hypocrisy of the rich ruling class who think that they can paint with a broad brush. Those peasants that are protesting in Ottawa, those peasants are racists. And meanwhile, this idiot autographed a neo-Nazi flag. Like, who does that? Doesn't he have any handlers or people around him that would say, Mr. Trudeau, that's a neo-Nazi flag. You shouldn't be autographing that, because that's almost an endorsement of neo-Nazi principles, I suppose. Why would you autograph a neo-Nazi flag? But here we are. And this is the man who's been in blackface too many times to remember exactly how many times, wants to call peaceful Canadian truckers protesting racists and extremists and a fringe minority. In other news, Hershey just fired all unvaccinated employees in the United States. And here's a reminder that Valentine's Day is almost here. And here's a list of their products. So people in the United States are encouraging people to show their support for those unvaccinated employees who were fired by boycotting Hershey's products. And I got to tell you, I love Hershey bars with almonds more than anybody on earth, maybe. But I'm going to start buying a different brand of chocolate bar with almonds. I will not support these companies that are doing this to these people. Here we see more funny stuff. Justin Trudeau's ending up on the side of a milk carton. Missing Canadian Prime Minister hasn't been seen since the convoy went international and inspired millions around the world. Yeah, where is Justin Trudeau? Nobody knows. Nobody knows where he's at right now. All right, and here's an update from GoFundMe and a statement on the Freedom Convoy 2022 fundraiser. GoFundMe supports peaceful protests, and we believe that that was the intention of the Freedom Convoy 2022 fundraiser when it was first created. They go on to state, we now have evidence from law enforcement that the previously peaceful demonstration has become an occupation with police reports of violence and other unlawful activity. You know, and I just want to say, I'm not saying there hasn't been any violence, but by and large, you know that saying, mostly peaceful protest that people in the United States love to use, while literal buildings were burning behind the reporter saying it's been mostly peaceful here. Listen, if you gather tens of thousands of people in the streets of any major city, there's going to be a little bit of maybe violence or you know, small crimes. That should not, you know, a small, let's use their terms, a small fringe minority of people causing problems with unlawful activity should not allow a major corporation to literally steal $10 million from the people that money was intended to go to. GoFundMe goes on to state, to ensure GoFundMe remains a trusted platform. How is it a trusted platform? These are the people that let BLM and Chaz and Antifa, or the Summer of Love in 2020, where they were burning down, trying to burn down all these major cities. That was all funded by GoFundMe. These hypocrites, though, think that they could steal $10 million from peaceful Canadian truckers protesting and demanding their rights be returned to them after 2 years of this nonsense. GoFundMe states, to ensure GoFundMe remains a trusted platform, we work with local authorities to ensure we have a detailed, factual understanding of events taking place on the ground. Following a review of relevant facts and multiple discussions with local law enforcement and city officials, this fundraiser is now in violation of our terms of service, which prohibits the promotion of violence and harassment and has been removed from the platform. And I just want to ask GoFundMe, can we see some examples of these protesters promoting violence and harassment? I haven't seen that. I don't think they can show me protesters that are promoting violence and harassment. No, friends. This is a corporate entity caving to the will of the totalitarian dictators that don't want the protest to continue. We have seen these examples now that the regime of despots in Canada are trying to starve these truckers out of resources. They don't want them to have food. They don't want them to have water. They don't want them to have fuel. And they sure don't want them to have $9 million to continue their efforts. I believe that the Canadian authorities stepped on the neck of GoFundMe and they caved. And here, well, I want to be sure that we recognize, being Polish myself, the good Polish people who are providing literal mountains of supplies that are heading to Ottawa from the Polish Community Center. Those Polish Canadians know how to help a brother in arms. So huge shout out to the Polish Community Center for pulling together to support their truckers. And they say, truckers for freedom, we've got your backs. You know, it's -20 outside in Ottawa. These people need things like propane. They need a good hot meal to continue what they're doing. They need water. They need resources because the Canadian government is actively trying to squeeze resources out of them, or prevent them, I should say, from having the resources to continue in their protest efforts. So God bless the people from the Polish Community Center helping their fellow Canadians. And here we see GoFundMe, which has raised over $10 million. And God bless all those freedom-loving patriots who contributed to this effort. Here we see from the National Post, bad news for the totalitarian dictatorship in Canada, who apparently had plans to use the military to end this thing. But military, the headline reads, military tells Ottawa to find someone else to evict the truckers. The liberals are trying to censor the internet again. In an article by Tristan Hopper that states, despite the Ottawa police briefly raising the possibility of military intervention to clear a stubborn holdout of Freedom Convoy truckers blockading their downtown. And here's the best part of this, friends. The Canadian Armed Forces have been quick to say they will be doing no such thing. A spokesperson for the Minister of Defense told the Wall Street Journal on Thursday that the Canadian Armed Forces are not involved in law enforcement in this situation, and there's no plans for such involvement. So good for them. The armed forces will not intervene here. That's bad news. You know, that's really bad news for Justin Trudeau and the totalitarian dictators trying to shut this thing down. Because I'm here to tell you, friends, even bringing in, they have brought in police from many other jurisdictions. It's not just the Ottawa police there. They're bringing in all the police they can. And I'm here to tell you, friends, no matter how many police they bring in from other jurisdictions, the police are not going to be able to evict these truckers and stop this protest. It would take the force of something like the military to do that. And the military says they will be doing no such thing. So God bless the military and leaders in Canada for standing with freedom fighters and saying, no, we will not evict these people. And in better news, friends, this is breaking news. Saskatchewan will become the first province to drop all COVID restrictions and vax passports by the end of the month. So these Canadian truckers, these freedom fighters are making a difference. That's one major city in Canada that has heard them loud and clear and said, we will drop all mandates and passports and restrictions by the end of the month. Good for them. And God bless the people of Saskatchewan for doing the right thing here. Let's see what we've got next. Oh, this is a great story out of Ottawa. So those violent extremists, that fringe minority, those Nazis, those racists, those criminals, there's such incredible violence going on that in Ottawa right now, that last night, a group of kind Canadians set up bounce houses for all the children. People have their children with them. This is an historic event. I support them doing that. People have their children with them and want their children to have something to do while they're here at the protest. So they have erected bounce houses for all the freedom fighters' children in what is supposed to be a violent fringe minority of people with dangerous ideas. Here, look, you gotta love Canadians, right? We're violent, we're a fringe minority, we're Nazis, we're racists. Let's set up some bounce houses for the kids so they have a good time while they're here at this historic event. God bless those people and their children. All right, and here is back to the story of GoFundMe. It's important to note that many people are advising people of this. Trucker Freedom Convoy says, do not use GoFundMe refund form. Instead, issue a chargeback. Open a dispute with your bank. This way, GoFundMe will have to pay $15 US or more for each chargeback request, plus the refund value. This is how all banks work. Please share this as much as possible. If we're successful, GoFundMe will regret this because they will lose tons of money. And yes, my wife worked for a bank, and I asked her what a chargeback amount would be currently, and she said it's somewhere between $15 and $35. So it might be more than $15. Imagine if tens of thousands of the people who donated to this GoFundMe don't just accept the refund in 7 to 10 days. GoFundMe apparently hoping that this whole thing will be over in 7 to 10 days. They'll give the money back. No, people are saying don't do that. Don't wait 7 to 10 days to get your money back. Open a dispute with your credit card or your debit card, your bank that you contributed to the GoFundMe. Charge them back. Make them pay. And I, for one, support this. I'd also like to say that throughout my life, I have contributed to what I felt to be worthwhile causes on GoFundMe many, many, many times. For the rest of my life, I will never donate a single penny or dime to anyone crowdfunding on GoFundMe. There is other crowdfunding sites that you may want to use instead. Vote with your dollars, friends. Put these people on notice. GoFundMe may have a real problem here on their hands. They could lose tens of millions of dollars having to pay these chargebacks. And part of me doesn't wish ill will on anybody, but in this case, I would be pleased if they lost tens of millions of dollars for caving to the tyrants stepping on their neck and trying to starve the Freedom Convoy out of the resources that they are entitled to. People in good faith sent them money. The money was meant for them, GoFundMe, not for you to freeze it or give it to charity or give refunds to people. In other good news, it's not just the truckers now, because today a convoy of farm tractors, farmers all over Canada, formed a convoy and headed to Ottawa to support the truckers and the Freedom Convoy. God bless the farmers of Canada. You know, it's important to note, here we have the common people, the working men of Canada, standing up to a tyrannical government saying no more. These are the people that create the backbone of society. Without the truckers, no one's bringing food into major cities. Without the farmers, no one gets to eat. And they are now standing together to protest their totalitarian governments and these unfair mandates. And here we have another convoy of trucks heading to Ottawa to support the protests. Here we have another view of the farmers and their convoy heading to support. And here we have them arriving. We are the fringe minority. End all mandates. I like how that one guy has a hockey stick, right? I like how that one guy has a hockey stick. It's great. All right, one moment, friends. We want to thank, oh yeah, here is a tweet that I think is very telling. The Ottawa police and authorities, we want to thank GoFundMe for listening to our concerns as a city and a police service. The decision to withhold funding for these unlawful demonstrations, I take issue with them characterizing these demonstrations as unlawful. But they say the decision to withhold funding for these unlawful demonstrations is an important step, and we call on all crowdfunding sites to follow. And Blair Marshall, who is a Canadian citizen and an old friend of mine, chiming in on this, saying, yes, as this is a prolonged demonstration, now 11 to 12 days, the extra cost of policing has been estimated at $800,000 per day, likely an inflated number. But why should the local citizens be responsible for these costs? You know, I see his point, right? I see his point. However, this is too much for me. The Ottawa police saying these are unlawful demonstrations. Don't Canadians have the right to peacefully assemble? I believe they do. It's in their charter. So how are these unlawful demonstrations when it's when it is a right of Canadians? Kind of like we have the Bill of Rights here in the United States. The Canadians have their own version of that, and it includes the right to assemble. So for the Ottawa police to call it an unlawful demonstration, it's a little too much for me. And here is a beautiful picture of the Freedom Convoy on the streets in Ottawa in full force. Good to see. Good to see. All right. And these violent extremists, these Nazis, these racists, here we show they're giving each other hugs and they're cooking each other meals. They're so violent that they're hugging each other. You know, Goddamn violent Canadians. Come on. And here we have free food and drink. These people are supporting each other, offering each other food and beverages. I have seen it all day long. And here we see some of those violent racists, right? And it's also interesting to note that the Sikhs, the Indian from India, are also a big part of this protest. They're coming in massive amounts to support these Canadian truckers. So, I just want to ask Justin Trudeau, are these the racists? Where are the racists, Justin Trudeau? Where are the racists? And by the way, I think it is ridiculous that the totalitarian dictators can just say they're racists. This is a like I said, the manipulation here has been the worst I have ever seen. And the smearing of peaceful protesters has been the worst I have ever seen in my entire life. They're violent. They're there's people committing crimes. They're Nazis. They're racists. This is from Freedom Convoy, and I have not confirmed this. I know some people are going to jump all over me. How do you know that? But according to Freedom Convoy 2022 support, Ottawa police report approximately 2.3 million people on foot and 130,000 trucks in the city. Interesting that the Ottawa police report 130,000 trucks now in the city, because remember, people argued that we read this article earlier stating it's not 50,000 trucks, it's like 1,000 trucks. Friends, go look at the live feeds. It's not 1,000 trucks. I don't know that it's 130,000 trucks, but it sure as hell is more than 1,000 trucks. And here, this is just our thumbnail from tonight's broadcast. And yes, we have made our way through. I'm going to check in with our support system. Oh, no, we're good. We can go back to some live feeds, though I do have more things to share with you. So please stand by as we... Oh, this is a great one. Friends, it's not just the truckers anymore. It's the farmers. And it's not just the farmers anymore. It's working class people all over Canada heading there to support this movement. And this was perhaps the strangest thing that I found today. Well, not really strange, just kind of surprising. Remember, it's about -20 out there. But God bless these people. Look what I found. Protesters going to Ottawa, arriving on horseback. That's right. There's a convoy of horses. Justin Trudeau. There's a convoy of horses headed your way, Mr. Trudeau. And there's a convoy of farm tractors headed your way, Mr. Trudeau. And more trucks arriving every day. There we have the horses arriving in Ottawa to support this effort. Gotta love it, friends. Gotta love it. Gee, what about that? Are these the fringe minority too? Is this the fringe minority? Or are the farmers the fringe minority? Are the truckers the fringe minority? Where is this fringe minority, Justin Trudeau? There are people all over your country descending on the Capitol to voice their support for this fringe minority. All right, friends. And more. There's more, friends. We have big rigs on deck, and I have some live feed from earlier, just a few hours earlier, which we will be sharing with you now. By the way, I did see that. I apologize. One moment. Al Julian with a kind and generous $5 super chat. I want to remind everybody we are a viewer-supported show, and there's a super chat button down there. Al Julian says, the government is costing more money. If they meet demands, it all ends. The government, not the truckers. Yeah. I mean, here we see, I know Blair Marshall is Canadian. I'm not sure if he's accurate in his estimation that this is costing the Canadian government almost $1 million a day. And I don't know how long they can sustain that, I guess. But if I've seen these various people talk to these truckers, interview them, how long are you prepared to stay? I heard one guy say, I don't know, until 2024. How long can the Canadian government hold out with these mandates before they're going to have to cave? There are also various reports. People are complaining that the stores, this thing is going to cause supply chain issues. The stores, there's already supply chain issues across the United States and Canada due to COVID. Maybe having the backbone of the supply chain system in the form of all these truckers call out of work and go protest for weeks is not a good idea. And all I can say is God bless those people. And I do hope that they reach a peaceful resolution of this. We've seen that one major city, Saskatchewan, it's not that they caved to the demands, really. I was going to say they caved, but the city council and the mayor of Saskatchewan heard the voices of these protesters and decided they're ending all mandates and COVID restrictions by the end of the month. So their voices are being heard. This Freedom Convoy's voices are being ignored by Justin Trudeau and at least the left side of the government, and we'll see more on that soon. But thank you, Al Julian, for your kind and generous donation and your comment. I agree with you 100%. V says the unions are disgusted. Yeah, I'm not sure what is happening with the unions. I know that the Truckers Alliance or something came out against the convoy, but the truckers are saying they don't represent us. They're a partisan group or something like that. Oh, here we have Timothy Brigham, PhD. Says, go, brother. Thank you, Timothy, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. I do think it's important, Timothy, that somebody cover this stuff because I'm just not seeing it. I am not seeing it on my television when I go watch the news. This is being ignored better than I've never seen in my entire life. This kind of manipulation and this mass manipulation of the people. They don't want, Timothy Brigham, they don't want to cover this. The government is probably stepping on the necks of all those corporate media sources in the United States and Canada. I believe in the United States for sure they're stepping on the necks. They don't want Americans figuring out that they could do this too. They could stand up for their rights. They could say, no more. We're not going to comply with this any longer. Thank you, Timothy. Bob Birkin says, when Elvira comes in the game and want Joe Rogan out, you know some party are involved. Yeah, it looks like Joe Rogan. Boy, they're trying to cancel Joe Rogan good, right? I don't think it's going to work. I'm hopeful that it won't work, but there's an awful lot of pressure to just cancel Joe Rogan, take his show off of all of the internet. And that's unfortunate. But this cancel culture that we live in now, I don't understand it. We can't have a dialogue here. We can't have a conversation if it differs from the approved narrative. I have a real problem with that. I think debate is healthy, and I think it's necessary in a free society. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you this that happened in the Canadian Parliament. It appears that some people are standing up to people characterizing these people as racists, a fringe minority, dangerous, etc. And, I, for one, am happy to see it, but it appears to be across party lines. The Conservatives are supporting this effort. And I've heard Jordan Peterson tell the Conservatives in Canada, now's your time. Stand up and do something. This is the time to do it. So this happened in Canadian Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, all Canadians want to see a leader who will work to heal rifts, not further divide. A leader who will listen, even to those voices he might not agree with. A leader who will work to understand, not dismiss, name call, and gaslight. Contrary to some, there are thousands of passionate, patriotic, and peaceful Canadians on the Hill right now who just want to be heard. Will the Prime Minister extend an olive branch, and will he listen?
The Honourable Minister for Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, I think we all support free speech in this House, but there's a big difference between free speech and inciting hatred, inciting violence, desecrating war memorials, Mr. Speaker. And I would hope my honourable colleague would denounce that in the clearest terms, Mr. Speaker. Those radical leaders are not really interested in free speech because they want to pretend as though vaccines don't work. On this side of the House, we know vaccines work. That's the gateway to freedom, and this government will do everything that we can to get there. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Portage Lisker.
Of course, we all condemn hateful and destructive acts by a few at any protest. Whether it's beheading the statue of Queen Victoria in Manitoba, tearing down the statue of Sir John A. in Montreal, or putting flags on Terry Fox, whether it's burning churches, whether it's wearing blackface, whether it's Hezbollah flags or Nazi flags, we all condemn it. But I'm not talking about that, Mr. Speaker.
You might want to stay down. You might want to stay down.
So it would appear that there is at least the start of a debate here with the Canadian Parliament about the right way to proceed. And it's interesting to me that people are being characterized as violent extremists. And I just don't see it. I just don't see it. The Sixth Sense is here and says that is exactly what is happening. The fake news media is pushing complete and total BS. Don't fall for it. Yeah, I'm not getting my news from them. I'm getting my news from me now. You know, I want to welcome you all to what we've created here, because I've gotten so sick of the media lying to me that I'm starting my own. We are starting our own news network here, the Renegade Network News. And I got to say that I feel very empowered. I'm not just going to sit back and be manipulated. I'm not just going to sit back and have these big tech companies and big media spoon feed me lies anymore. I'm not going to do it. And yes, the Sixth Sense is reminding people that we do have a new channel, but we are beginning this Renegade Network News here on our original channel due to monetization and things like that. We want to be able to allow people to support us with super chats and things like that. And so we're beginning our journey to the Renegade Network News here on our channel. But after live broadcasts here, they are uploaded to our new channel, Renegade Network News. We invite you to please go over there and subscribe, right? Zach Zizzle says, I will tune in to watch Steve do news daily. Thank you. I appreciate the support. And I have to say that overwhelmingly, most people have been supportive. This is not my usual wheelhouse here, of course. However, people have been very, very supportive. Oh, we have Torvik here who says, been watching live streams for hours since the convoy started. No violence, no hate symbols, no graffiti or defacing monuments building. No honking in residential neighborhoods past 9 p.m. Mainstream media lies. Yeah, imagine that, Torvik. And thank you for your comment. We welcome that. I have been watching live streams all day as well and can confirm that I haven't seen any violence. I haven't seen any graffiti, people defacing monuments. All I've seen is people exercising what should be their God-given rights to peaceably assemble and have their voices heard. Bob Perkins says, it is great to see that from distance. You guys understand what is happening. Yes. Down Jones Muller says, it rolls off the tongue. RNN. Yeah, and it's, of course, it's a play on CNN. Hopefully we don't get sued for trademark or something because our logo, our logo is quite similar to theirs. But, you know, I thought it was funny. And thanks to Spooky from Paperbag News for doing that for us. I think it's important to, you know, branding is important. And I think that people are really getting sick of the lies that everybody is being spoon-fed, right? Alien Girl 111 says, great coverage, Stephen. Thanks. Good to see you here, Alien Girl. Yeah, and there was violence. One guy ran over one of the pedestrians. Somebody ran over a pedestrian. that person was not part of the protest. He ran over a protester. And there are counter protests beginning to form. So I will caution everybody that right now it appears that the protests have been, I love that term, and I'm going to use it too, mostly peaceful. However, tensions, it appears, are beginning to rise because now, along with the truckers and the farmers and the people on horseback and everybody else pouring into Ottawa to peaceably protest, there are counter protesters who are also becoming involved here, and tensions are rising. I have some other feeds to share with you so that we can get a sense of what is happening. And we are going to do that. 1 second, friends. We have our multi-feed stream here to share with you, which is courtesy of Paper Bag News. I want to thank them for their support of this broadcast. And we'll see if we can't get it to the. This is currently live. And look at that. Looks like the CBC is being forced to cover the protest. Yeah, it doesn't, my friends, it does not look like a small fringe minority to me. Not in the least, friends, not in the least. Thousands of people exercising their rights here. And remember, I got to give it to these people because I do not like cold. It feels like negative 22 outside in Ottawa right now. And that came to me courtesy of a Canadian friend. Shout out to Jason Quit. He said that according to, many things, here we have more feeds being added. Interesting technology allowing us to show you some 9 feeds at once, all live feeds of what is happening right on the ground in Ottawa. One thing that has surprised me is that I have not heard them call this a health risk yet. And it's always interesting to note that, certain protests are perfectly okay. Like here in the United States, you can protest for Black Lives Matter, tens of thousands of people, and that wasn't a health risk, but you couldn't go to church because that was a health risk. Love it. Love it. I love the hypocrisy of the ruling class tyrants who think that they can control us. Their agenda is okay. If you're doing something that aligns with their agenda, you're allowed. But you can't go to, for a while in the United States, you were literally not allowed to go to church on Sunday because that was too risky. You could go to Walmart every Sunday and be in a warehouse-sized building with hundreds of other people and a building with terrible ventilation. You could do that. That was perfectly safe, but you couldn't go to church. And ministers, priests, and more in the United States were literally arrested for holding Sunday church services. And I don't know about you, but during a time of turmoil, stress, anxiety, and fear, maybe you should let people go to church. We just saw Frosty the Snowman. This is awesome. Look at this. People are dancing. Does this look violent? Does anybody think this looks violent? I don't see any violence. Where's all the violence at? Amazing, friends, that the totalitarian regime has been able to paint with a broad brush and call these people Nazis, racists, extremists, people with dangerous ideas, and let's not forget my favorite, a fringe minority. Friends, there's tens of thousands of people, and it's been shown through polls that the majority of Canadians do not support these mandates or COVID restrictions. They want an end to them all. More than half of the people in your country is not a fringe minority, Justin Trudeau. So I have some other feeds that we could share here with you. But this is the best one, thanks to Spooky. We have an incredible live feed here showing many different views of Ottawa and the protests. I have a feeling that this is going to go on for a while. They are not going to get rid of these people. And look at this. People are erecting tents. I saw one dude literally building a cabin out of 2x4s and plywood. These people are in it for the long haul. They're not going anywhere. And it appears that the Canadian military is refusing to be used as a means to stop these people, stating that they are not getting involved in police actions. That's a police action. That's a police problem. And there is not enough police in Ottawa or the surrounding cities, no matter how many other jurisdictions they bring in for help, to clear all these people out. It's just not going to happen. So far, all they've been successful at is towing some cars. I've seen them tow some cars from certain areas when people refuse to move. I'm trying to get a sense of just how many cars were towed, but there has also been various reports that the tow truck companies are saying, the police are calling the tow truck companies saying, come and tow these cars. And some tow truck companies and people are saying, we're not doing that. We refuse. We won't comply. So how much longer can a totalitarian regime hold out, spending $1 million a day here while this is taking place? How much longer can Justin Trudeau ignore these freedom fighters? How much longer can he keep those mandates going when the will of the people is against the will of the totalitarian dictators? I'm a big believer in that saying that the people should not fear the government. The government should fear the people. And apparently, this government is too arrogant to fear the will of the people, because so far they have made no attempt at dialoguing with these freedom fighters and their leaders towards reaching some sort of peaceful resolution. Now, I'm hopeful there will be a peaceful resolution, but I am fearful that they may send police in with riot gear to start clearing people out. I don't know how long that a city can be gridlocked like this before they are forced. The government may be forced to try to stop this. And how are they going to do that? Are they going to just go in there with riot gears, tasers, batons, tear gas? We've seen how well that works in the United States, right? All over Ottawa, brave freedom fighters are standing up for their rights, and I say it's about time. And I'd also like to say, where the hell are the United States citizens? Why are we not doing exactly this same thing and saying no more, enough? Private Party with a kind and generous $4.99 super chat. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. Private Party says, disobedience. I agree with you 100%, Private Party. What a great statement. Says, disobedience is the true foundation of liberty. The obedient must be slaves. Henry David Thoreau. I'm a big fan of Thoreau, Private Party. I built a cabin based first. I wanted to base it on Henry David Thoreau's cabin. However, I got a wife and 2 kids, so it kept getting bigger. But I'm a big fan of Henry David Thoreau. One of the major reasons that I built a cabin in the woods was Henry David Thoreau. God bless him, and God bless you, Private Party, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of this important coverage. Okay, we'd like to take comments, questions from the live chat. So please do put your comments in all caps. Mike Williams, yeah, I'm not going to read that out loud. That could be very dangerous. There are various reports of that, Mike Williams, and I think that informed consent requires that we get all the information. So they've got a real problem on their hands, according to Dr. Malone and many others. They're not giving people informed consent. They're giving people only the information they want them to have. Al Julian with a kind and generous $5 super chat. Thank you, and God bless you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support, saying, Who are they going to call? Ghostbusters? They don't have the numbers to contain it. Yeah, I agree with you, Al Julian. There's not enough police to clear all these people. There's just too many. There's estimates of hundreds of thousands of people on the streets of Ottawa right now saying we've had enough. We demand that you address our concerns. We are the people. We put you. The government is there to serve the people, not the other way around. These rich, elite, ruling class, totalitarian dictator types think that the peasants should be there to do their will and should just lockstep, jump in line when they say and do what they're told. Good to see that people are standing up and saying, not any longer. No longer will this be acceptable. I mean, I think that both people in Canada and the United States have been more than patient with these restrictions, with the 2 weeks to flatten the curve that turned into the 2 years plus now to flatten the curve. Let's see what else. We've been lied to, manipulated by our media over and over and over again for the past 2 years. They have destroyed the middle class, or attempted to destroy the middle class. They have destroyed tens of thousands of businesses, forcing businesses to shut down and not be able to feed their own families. Do you know how many businesses have gone out of business? Mostly sole proprietorships. They don't want sole proprietorships. They want big corporations to control everything, because the big corporations control the politicians. They own the politicians. The politicians do not go by the will of the people. They go by the will of the corporations paying them. You can call it a campaign contribution. It's still a bribe. So thank you, Al Julian. Any comments or questions, please put them in all caps so I know. Philip Blair says Henry David Thoreau wrote that in opposition to the war with Mexico. Truthseekers. Good to know. Yeah, I don't believe that I've heard that quote before, or I don't remember hearing that quote before. So we are live right now, offering you a live view of what's happening on the ground in Ottawa right now. You are watching the Renegade Network News channel. And I'm your host, Stephen Cambion, trying to bring you the truth that the mainstream media is trying to keep you from seeing. They don't want you to see this. They don't want people to know that you can stand up and say, I will not comply. I believe that all men should have a right to stand up to, especially a tyrannical government attempting to control the people. We have seen historic things throughout this protest. I have commented, and I will keep commenting. I have never in my entire life seen the media manipulate a story so much. It is amazing the level that they're willing to go to, and the smears they're willing to just smear all these people as racists, Nazis, extremists, and my favorite, the fringe minority. Philip Blair says BLM protesters were mischaracterized by certain elements of the mainstream media too, conflating the civil rights movement with opportunistic looters. 10 miles away, in the case of Philadelphia 2020, Truthseekers. Well, Philip Blair, I covered the Philadelphia riots because I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but a lot of that looting happened in the neighborhood I had just moved out of. We literally just moved out of there a few months before the rioting and looting in Philadelphia started. And while I recognize there is a difference between peaceful protesters and looters, it seemed to me in the case of Philadelphia that the two went hand in hand. You had the peaceful protesters during the day, you have the rioting and looting at night. And many of those were the same people, I believe. And that's my personal belief, having witnessed it and covered. Phil Blair, we covered, I think, something like 20 hours of live coverage of the Philadelphia riots. B. Baker is here and says, since 2019, they are using this to implement policies they could never pass otherwise. Yes, and one of the things that worries me, B. Baker, is when have we ever known a government that would get new power and then surrender that new power? It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. They always want more. Power and control are two things they always want more of and will never, ever surrender. So, many people believe that these COVID restrictions and mandates and things are just never going to end. They're just going to go on forever. We're going to have new variant after new variant after new variant. We're going to have new jab after new jab after new jab. And I think that many people in the United States and Canada have been more than cooperative with trying to do the right thing here in the midst of a medical crisis, trying to help our fellow man. Okay, we'll stay at home for a few weeks. Okay, we'll shut our businesses down for 6 months or more in some cases in the United States. I will never understand some of the things that they did during this, B. Baker. I get that these are tough decisions. Tough decisions have to be made for the benefit of the greater society. However, these totalitarian dictator types, they didn't lose a penny. While they're destroying people's businesses and livelihoods for a year, they didn't lose any money. They keep getting their paycheck. Mike Williams says the robber baron's cruelty may sometimes sleep. His cupidity may at some point be satiated. Maybe you meant stupidity? Bob Birkin says, cause in another time with patience and conversation, you might have a best friend. V says, all truckers unions are disgusted with anti-vaxxers. I don't know that it's... I know that the Canadian Truckers Alliance came out and, they are not in support of this. However, these truckers are saying that that group doesn't represent their best interests. So, there's two sides of the story here. Revless XX says, that's fair. These are confusing times, but like times long gone, this is and always will be driven to divide people. I believe. I agree with you. Bob Birkin says, life and our time is important to be free and live. Is important is the result of these truckers protesters. Yeah. Randall Hill wants me to put my email address in the chat. I have 1 second. I have a banner for that. Let me get you 1 second. Yeah, I should put my here is the email address to reach me. On the bottom of the screen, it's truthseekershow@gmail.com. I will be checking in with that shortly. We have some other live feeds that I would like to share with you people so that you can know exactly what's happening in Ottawa, because your local media is sure not going to show you that. I'm going to check in with my email right now, because people are routinely sending me useful little bits to share about this emerging story. Again, we're covering the live protests in Ottawa of the Freedom Truckers. And we're going to stop this one. I have another live feed, which we're going to be sharing. Just bear with me one moment. Well, let's check, see if it's live right now. Yeah, this is from just a little bit earlier. I'm going to back it up a little bit so we get a sense of what has been happening in Ottawa on the ground with this freedom protest. Oh, the video just became unavailable. Imagine that. I don't know what happened with that one. Well, we can go back to another live feed. Video was set to private just now. Damn it. All right, we've got other things to share with you. Actually, I have an article to share that is pro the movement. Imagine that. And this is from uncancelled.ca. Media sabotage of Freedom Convoy 2022. Yeah, look at all these people in front of their parliament building. That's the fringe minority, of course. And this is from Gregory Zink. He's a political freelance writer, content editor, liberty advocate, and researcher. And Gregory states the scenes broadcast from Ottawa this past weekend were a welcome and inspirational explosion of patriotic euphoria amidst the bleak indefiniteness of the COVID saga. Truckers from around North America descended upon Canada's capital to protest against our arbitrary state of crisis. We saw images of lawful protest, joyous rebellion, and diverse voices being proudly championed. Raising more than 9 million in less than 2 weeks, now it's 10 million, the Freedom Convoy has captured the fascination of the world and is generating parallel movements in several other continents. Bolstering the movement's influence is a cavalcade of the most influential non-governmental individuals on the planet that include Elon Musk, Brett Weinstein, Don Cherry, Jordan Peterson, Dr. David Fisman, James Lindsay, Russell Brand, Brett Wilson, Ron Paul, and Dr. Kulvinder Kaur. These brave working-class heroes of the convoy have become the worldwide symbols for hope, positivity, and policy change within the prevailing framework of governmental overreach and fear-mongering. And just one moment, we want to put our fair use banner up. This is fair use. We are educating the public and using this article to do so. We will be talking about and critiquing the article that we are sharing. And for this grassroots and majority supported stance, they are being demonized and mocked by large swaths of the national legacy media. Unsurprisingly, these are the exact same news agencies who make a living from manufacturing consent, parroting government narratives, and accepting generous state bailouts to prop up their failing existences. Luckily, at least for now, we have social media and independent publishing that can cut through the distorted and misleading lens of a deeply corrupted establishment news ecosystem. If only we could drown out the media party with the infinite blare of a truck horn. Let the smearing begin. And here's a quote from Michael Malice, anarchist. The battle is won when the average American regards a corporate journalist exactly as they regard a tobacco executive. Yeah, you're selling us death. So the article goes on to state, since the advent of social media, corporate news outlets have been contending with the reality that they are increasingly irrelevant, distrusted, and elitist. The links between them and their establishment interests, both in government and business, are being exponentially realized. And every watershed event further galvanizes public disgust with their agendas. The Freedom Convoy has only solidified this reality and, in return, coalesced the Laurentian consensus. Instead of fairly covering the grassroots movements to effect change away from unpopular and damaging government policies regarding the COVID regime, they instead initiated a slow creep of marginalization against the protesters. And Legacy's media's overreaching message of distrust against the convoy was curiously reinforced by Prime Minister Trudeau today at his press conference, almost as if they were on the same page and running cover for one another. They couldn't say the protest was unlawful, so they had to create alternative slanders. So in context, over the weekend, they waved an illusion of an impending mass terror and destruction campaign being wrought by the truckers. There were allusions to the January 6th Capitol riot, hypothesizing about Russian collusion, and insistence that Ottawa was being invaded, and painted the entire movement as selfish, anti-vaccine group of deplorables. They couldn't widely smear it as racist or misogynistic, so they focused on a handful of distasteful and possibly planet outliers. A few strange and isolated incidents of mysteriously appearing and then vanishing wielders of hate symbols were all the elite media could focus on. They cared more about one unidentified lunatic with a Nazi flag than the precipitous rise in child abuse and suicide attempts driven by the government's COVID policies over the past 2 years. And importantly, on this topic, True North is offering a substantial reward for any information leading to the identification of this disgusting man. Apparently, here's my favorite term, friends. Mostly peaceful protesters is only acceptable to democratic movements that support leftist government narratives, even though zero arrests have been made. Legacy media is using these unrepresentative images as propaganda against the convoy, while independent media is going out of their way to have those reprehensible people disassociated from this. Yes, and I did see a live stream where there was somebody with not a Nazi flag, but a rebel Civil War flag, a Confederate flag. And people were telling him to put the flag away and get out of here. You're not welcome here. This article goes on to state that legacy media is using these unrepresentative images as propaganda against the convoy. The near entirety of the establishment media, excepting some elements of the National Post, who gave unbiased and ground-level coverage like Rupa Subramanya, have seemingly been building a consensus towards the surmised government objective, delegitimization of a democratic protest against government authoritarianism. The revolution will be a podcast. And this is from Thomas Sowell. He says the media are less a window on reality than a stage on which officials and journalists perform self-scripted, self-serving fictions. Not only was the Freedom Convoy overwhelming success for its people and message with no end in sight for its duration, international support, and donations, but it also displayed some silver linings to be appreciated. For amongst the barrage of falsehoods and deliberate misinformation being hurled by legacy media, the truth still managed to get out. First, we demonstrated a strong Canadian network of independent and self-funded organizations doing real journalism and ground-level reporting. Rebel News, True North, Post Millennial occupy the forefront of this space where they can disseminate news to millions of people and reach influential foreign audiences. Their reporters should be thanked for their dedication in reporting the convoy despite frigidly cold conditions and antagonistic online mood of their establishment brethren. Second, the legacy media continues to discredit itself with each cynical and conciliatory gesture towards the promotion of state power. This becomes overtly contemptible while the media narratives sync up perfectly with government actors and their messaging. As a quick test of this assertion, look up anyone who works for CBC or the Toronto Star or Twitter and juxtapose what they said over the weekend against Trudeau's statements today. Yeah, people are doing matchups, which is really funny. Lastly, we have ourselves. There are scores of independent vloggers, podcasters, live streamers, and citizen journalists reporting to you firsthand and in real time, no less. There is something to cherish because it completely removes any contorted optics the legacy media attempts to impose on your interpretation. You can literally watch it for yourself, and I'm quite certain you can comprehend the events without a liberal interpretation of the story. So please, for the sake of truth and your own enlightenment, support independent media or become a member of it yourself. If you have a phone in your hand right now, use it to inject truth into a bloated and deceitful corporate narrative. Donate to the aforementioned organizations, share their work within your social circles, and support publications like Uncanceled for more unique insights into our shared reality. Remember that the corporate media want to permanently gatekeep selective narratives that dictate certain worldviews with the explicit hope of altering democratic behavior. We cannot let them win because it will ultimately mean the death of truth. Great article, and I wanted to share that. So, along with the corporate media, it seems that the battle lines are being drawn. The corporate media is really painting these people as the bad guys here. They're racists. They are a fringe minority of people with dangerous ideas and more. And I just don't see it. We're going to go back to our live feed of what is happening in Ottawa right now. Comments or questions for me, please put them in all capital letters. Some of you may be aware that I am visually impaired, and that's the reason for the glasses as well. But it does help me to know that you have a comment that you are intending that I share on screen by putting it in all capital letters. We can take some comments and questions from the live chat. And let's get it caught up to, this is live right now in Ottawa.
You mentioned military foreign objects or suspected military foreign objects, and anything that would designate something like UAP or UFO. Um,
Anything.
I want to know if I want to know that there must be there must
I think maybe Spooky got her streams crossed because there seems to be another show audio on this. Torvik is here and says corporate media and the establishment are having a meltdown right now. Mandate protests to Joe Rogan. It's nice to see them kick and scream like children. Yeah. I don't understand cancel culture. I don't understand why we can't have a conversation, why we can't have a debate, why we cannot have a discussion about these issues. And how can you have conformed consent when some experts are being literally stamped off of social media so you can't hear what they have to say on these issues? B. Baker says Trudeau was asked what government he admired the most during a town hall meeting event. He said China. Yeah, he's probably in the pockets of them, you know? Well, I might disagree with you a little bit, but we'll allow it. Angel A says the Canadians have bigger cojones than the USA. Well, right now they do. They're standing up for their freedom. Us Americans are still laying down, waiting for it to end, right? Oh, that was alien scientists blending in. Yeah, a little off topic, though. Okay. Dr. Hongo says, I am an anarchist. I completely disagree with all governments, but I am pro-science and technology. I would tend to agree with you, but I'm not quite an anarchist. But sometimes I am. I think that sometimes anarchists are like, there has to be some order in society. In order to have a civil society, there needs to be some form of government. I just think it should be about 10% the size that it is. That's my personal view. Just enough to do those things that people cannot do on their own, like build roads and bridges and just enough police to, take care of the criminals. Ignoble Savage says it's great to see Rebel News get worldwide attention. They're honest. Yeah, I've been enjoying their coverage, and they're one of the inspirations actually behind our new news network here, Renegade Network News. I got so sick of being lied to by my corporate media that I just decided to start my own news show. If I can't get the news from the news, I'm going to get the news myself, and I'm going to share it with all of you fine people, right? Tucker called us and lied to us. Much of the right was its way to delegitimize and dismiss the concerns of anti-racists. They used the same smears against Dr. King. We mustn't fall for hate. I probably agree with you. Okay, and we can turn the audio back on the feed. There we go. I'm going to keep it low, though, because sometimes people are playing copyrighted songs in the middle of these protests. So it looks like a dance party. Where's all the violence? Look at this. This is beautiful. Freedom-loving people standing up to the tyrants, the despots, and the dictatorship that is trying to control their lives for more than 2 years now. People have had enough. It's time to stand up to these folks. And I've got some more things to share with you. More coming in, which is great. Thanks for those sending me new things. And here we have a view. This is live streams, live from Ottawa, Canada. Look at these violent extremists. Look at these racists, right? This fringe minority. This fringe minority of people. I'm missing the violence, Justin Trudeau. I don't know. No, I don't see anybody beating everybody up. Here we see the police lining up. I'm hopeful that things will remain peaceful tonight. Please, if you're the praying type, friends, pray for peace. Pray that everybody stays safe tonight as they exercise their rights and demand to have their voice heard by the totalitarian dictators that are trying to control everyone's lives for 2+ years now. It's good to see that everybody sounds like looks like they're having a good time. And I guess when it's 20 below, you probably want to be dancing, right? And moving. Keep your body temperature up. God bless these brave freedom fighters standing up for their rights. And God bless the police, too. I hope everyone stays safe tonight, including them. They're just doing their job, trying to make sure that things stay peaceful and nothing gets out of hand. I have seen and heard from many different police who are very, very supportive of this movement, saying that it has been peaceful and that protesters have been very kind and nice to them. And I watched protesters giving out food to the police officers that are also there, giving out food and bottles of water, etc. And here we see a big rig moving to a new position, perhaps. You know, this does warm my heart to see, because I know, and even these totalitarian dictators know, that you cannot stop us all. They cannot stop all these people. They cannot do anything here. They're not going to be able to clear out tens of thousands of people with a few hundred or even a few thousand police. These people will have created major change. Change is already beginning. We reported earlier tonight that Saskatchewan is the first major city in Canada that announced today they will be ending all mandates and restrictions throughout that city by the end of the month. That, my friends, is a minor victory. But remember, this is not one battle here. I love that. Justin Trudeau, clown Justin Trudeau. I see an interesting comment. Moonlick says, if Jesus would just cure this disease, it would not be an issue. I blame Jesus. There's an actual theological principle that applies to that, Moonlick. I had a lot of Catholic schooling. According to the Catholic priests and Jesuits who educated me, man-made problems must be solved by man, not God. God didn't create the coronavirus, and so God won't intervene to stop it. Now, I'm not sure if that's an accurate statement. We don't know how the coronavirus was created. And it would be dangerous for me to even comment on that on this platform. Remember, it was not that long ago that if you were to even suggest anything about where the virus came from, you would be stamped off of this platform. It's interesting. Moonlick says, if this were happening in America, there would be putting caps in the backs of those people's heads. Yeah, things tend to, Americans tend to be a lot more less peaceful, I will say. Right? American protests tend to get violent. We're a violent bunch of people, I think, more so than Canadians by far. Right? Dr. Hongo says, I am against the violence, as am I. I want to be very clear. In my position is that I wish that everyone remains peaceful and exercises their right to peacefully protest. However, I abhor violence, or, I don't think that it does anything. Violence only begets more violence. It does not, solve problems. It creates more problems. And if these people were to become violent, then the government can say, see, they are violent. We were right. These are violent protesters. And Spooky from Paper Bag News working very hard on this live feed, giving us the latest view from all over Ottawa. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 live feeds from all over Ottawa right now. All here shared so that you can see what's really happening that the mainstream media will not share with you. The mainstream media doesn't want you to see what's happening in Ottawa, especially here in the United States. I believe that the United States officials are terrified that this is going to start in Washington, D.C. And apparently, there are already plans to do a freedom convoy to D.C., right? V says we have much more ammo. Yeah, we've got a lot more guns than most countries. That may be a reason that things get more violent in the United States. We sure got a lot of guns here, V. But I do want to say that I'm a big supporter of the right to keep and bear arms. There's a reason that there's camps in Australia that people are getting dragged off to. And that reason, V, is they took their guns away. The first thing totalitarian dictators do is take the guns away. Archaic Revival says, I am. Hope you are good too. Always thinking of you and your musical talent. Yes. Stop the violence, and more violence upset the silence. Yeah. Boy, this honkening, it's being called the honkening. Imagine if all it takes is tens of thousands of trucks honking their horns to force change, right? Yeah, Moonlight, that's a good point. Feed a protest, starve a riot. That reminds me, we are going to share something else that I found that I think is very, very important, because apparently the police chief is threatening any police officer who assists these protesters with criminal prosecution. And I found that to be extremely alarming. I mean, what if you're a police officer and your brother is a trucker and you're on your day off and you go to hang out with your brother, maybe bring him some food, maybe bring him a case of bottled water, or bring him some propane or fuel or whatever it is that your brother needs, or your neighbor, whatever. This is, I believe this is extremely unfair. What this police chief in Ottawa is basically saying, that any police officer who assists these protesters will be investigated and criminally prosecuted. This is another scare tactic to stop people from supporting these peaceful protesters. This has been a peaceful protest. How can the police chief of Ottawa say he's going to investigate and prosecute? Talk about a totalitarian state. This man wants to investigate and prosecute any member of the police who assists these peaceful protesters in any way. Let's take a listen, friends.
There is no facilitation of food, water, fuel, logistics, or funding by any member of this police service or any other police service that I am aware of. Let me repeat. There is no supply of food, water, fuel, logistics, or anything else that relates to enabling this demonstration by any member of the Ottawa Police Service or any other police service that I am aware of. Should that information come to me, you can be clear. As Chief of Police in this service, I will conduct a full investigation. I will use the full extent of the Police Service Act and, if relevant, the Criminal Code to pursue charges against such a member who would do that. There is no facilitation of food, water, fuel, logistics, or funding by any member of this police service or any other police service that I am aware of. Let me repeat. There is no supply of food, water, fuel, logistics, or anything else that relates to enabling this demonstration by any member of the Ottawa Police Service.
Amazing. So apparently, what if you're a police officer and you want to donate to the GoFundMe, or donate money to the truckers? This police chief is saying that if you do that, you're going to be investigated and criminally prosecuted if you give them food, water, money, fuel, or logistic support or anything. I have never seen this in my entire life. A police chief who thinks that he's a totalitarian dictator and that he can tell people who you're allowed to give a bottle of water to or a cheeseburger. Well, you know, like I said, what if you're a police officer and you've got family that's truckers that's in the protests and you bring them dinner? You're going to be criminally investigated and prosecuted for that? What if you're a police officer who just wants to support people's rights to peaceably assemble and protest, and you donated some money to the GoFundMe? According to the police chief of Ottawa, you're going to be criminally prosecuted for that. I have never seen anything like this in my entire life. I can't believe that this guy can stand there and say that. And boy, again, what if you've got friends there and you bring them dinner? What if you've got family there and you bring them some supplies? You'll be criminally prosecuted, investigated. Amazing. Effluent for You says, I agree with. However, the extreme narrative makes me think this is going to be the long haul. Like I said, there was a guy building a cabin on the back of a flatbed truck out of 2x4s and plywood earlier, Effluent for You. And I have seen the caches of supplies all over Ottawa. They've got all these 100-pound propane tanks. They've got camping gear. They've got tents. They've got food galore. People are sending in donations of food. I also want to mention that there are some various reports, and I'm still trying to confirm this, that the government is shutting down stores and restaurants in the city of Ottawa in an attempt to starve out these protesters. But the protesters have, they're truckers. They've got trucks. So trucks are coming in every day with food, water, propane, fuel, and supplies for them. The Sixth Sense says, I see no racism associated with this, Philip Blair. Again, you have the right to your opinion, as all are welcome. Thanks for participating. I'm sure some out there agree. Archaic Revival says, wow, Stephen, this is unbelievable. Contacting my Canadian friends tomorrow. I need to understand this. I'm still trying to understand it, right? Yeah, this is great. B. Baker commenting. Pardon me. B. Baker commenting. What that cop said they will do is illegal under the Canada Constitution, I have heard. I don't know how that can be legal. A cop giving a bottle of water to a protester or a cheeseburger or donating to the cause. If they donate money out of their own personal funds on their own time, they will be criminally prosecuted and investigated. I have never seen something this far into we're in Nazi Germany right now. These people are dictating what the police can and cannot do on their own time. I don't believe they have the right to tell a police officer you can't donate to these peaceful protesters. That's my opinion. I'm not I don't know about the Canadian laws, but it doesn't seem like that should be legal to me. Sixth Sense reminding people other places that you can find us on the internet, and I appreciate that. We have some good news, so we'll share something else that is good news. Just a nice story of people helping people, and I want to highlight those good people, those peaceful, freedom-loving protesters who are helping their fellow man. And I'm citing fair use. This is transformative work. We're educating the public about the fringe minority in Canada.
This weekend, this historic weekend with traffic being shut down, the fringe minority taking over downtown Ottawa, we've had people helping out the truckers. These two gentlemen here, can you guys introduce yourselves, please?
My name is Cornelius. My brother John.
Amazing. And guys, what have you guys been doing here? You guys have been here all weekend, correct?
Yeah, well, people keep donating, so we keep cooking, right? So we have got the heat to make stuff hot, so people want hot meals.
And you guys have been doling this out for free, just giving your time for the cause?
Yep.
Amazing stuff.
And it's delicious.
And it's delicious.
That's very, very good.
Yeah.
I can recommend that.
All right. Even better. You're putting out good food.
Yeah, we're going to be starting lunch here soon, so
All right.
everybody's welcome.
And where are you guys located? If people want to come down.
Chatham, so Windsor Way.
Okay, awesome. And you guys are set up here on
Leon, Queen and Leon.
Queen and Leon if you guys want some good chow.
Right in front of the Delta Hotel.
Right in front of the Delta Hotel?
Straight in front of the Delta Hotel. And the food is delicious. I can recommend it too. I'll second that.
Amazing. Come down and have some
Good for
freedom
them.
chow from these guys here. Thank you guys so much. All right, take care.
All right, friends. So there are good people all over Canada, all over Ottawa today and tonight who are helping in this freedom movement effort, right? Revelous XX says it is likely a public policy within the department. Still seems wrong to me. I have a few more things to share. We're going to be wrapping things up shortly here, friends, but I want to make sure that I tell you that just because GoFundMe has, I believe, illegally frozen these freedom fighters' money, and apparently they're going to attempt to steal their money and give it to a charity of their choice if people don't request a refund. There is Give, Send, Go, which is an alternative crowdfunding resource that the fundraising for the Freedom Convoy has now moved to. So again, we're citing fair use. I want to let you know I'm sending in a couple of bucks, and I encourage you to do the very same thing. And
Tamara Lee.
1 second. Let me just make sure that I did that right. This share audio button is the bane of my existence. For those that don't know, if you don't click this little checkbox, you don't get audio, and I screw up all the time. So I apologize, but here's, gateway timeout. What? Let's try that again. Maybe they took that down. I've had it up the entire time of our broadcast. Now I go to share it, and it is error 504, gateway timeout. Maybe it's getting, there are reports that the Give, Send, Go is under massive DDoS attack. And for those that don't know, a DDoS attack occurs when someone illegally floods a website with activity in order to overwhelm the server and get the website taken down. And it appears that the reports of the attack are accurate, because I'm trying to get to the website and it is now giving me a gateway error. Very unfortunate for the people trying to raise funds for this peaceful protest, but very unfortunate. Yeah, I can't get to the Give, Send, Go website. I'm going to share a story. I'm sure there's a story about this. Give, Send, Go, DDoS attack. Yeah, here's from their Twitter. They are under heavy DDoS attack. So someone, and let me just be clear, because I have a background in computer science. It takes a great deal of resources to successfully DDoS attack a website and force it down. So isn't it convenient that today the GoFundMe froze their funding, and they moved over to a platform called Give, Send, Go. And here we have the tweet from Give, Send, Go. Says, we have been under heavy DDoS and bot attacks. In spite of all this, we still have managed to raise funds 5 times faster than GoFundMe did. GoFundMe raised $10 million in 3 weeks. Give, Send, Go campaign has already raised over and I believe it's 1.3 million now in just over 12 hours. So apparently someone is attacking the website that you go to donate. Amazing. Amazing times that we live in, that somehow, isn't it convenient too? I believe that the totalitarian people in the Canadian government that are against this protest were behind stepping on the necks of GoFundMe to stop them from having the resources to continue this movement. And that is tyrannical. Then they say, fine, GoFundMe stole $9 million from us and won't let us have $9 million of money that people try to send to us. So we'll go to Give, Send, Go. Give, Send, Go, just in today's time, raised $1.1 or more million for these freedom fighters. But now, Give, Send, Go is under bot and DDoS attack. Their website is currently down. I am going to try to just go to Give, Send, Go website and see if that works, but no, that's Twitter. Oh, Give, Send, Go. I'm sorry, wrong tab. So it would appear that not just the Freedom Convoy Give, Send, Go is down. It would appear that the entire Give, Send, Go website is down right now under heavy DDoS attack, according to their Twitter. Let me see if we can't see more. Yeah, this is their latest tweet is 3 hours ago. 10 hours ago, they reported the DDoS bot attacks. And I'm trying to get to the website. I can show you what happens when you go to the website. You get a error message. Oh no, here we got it now. We'll see if we can find it. The main site is up, but the Freedom Convoy one apparently down. Yeah. It's very, very slow. It's not working. I'm not quite sure. Yeah. So sorry, friends. Looks like the Give, Send, Go website is under heavy attack. Isn't that convenient? That the government steps on the neck of GoFundMe, telling them that there's violence. GoFundMe decides, well, that's against our terms of service, even though we're fine with, funding violent riots and looting all over the United States. We can fund those groups. But hey, if there was any violence whatsoever during this Canadian protest, well, that's against our terms of service. And they locked $9 million. They locked these people out of $9 million that is rightfully theirs. Then the organizers moved to Give, Send, Go. And Give, Send, Go is unable to take, still down. The Give, Send, Go website is down. And the ability for the freedom movement people here to fundraise is being stomped all over. Stomped all over, friends. They are stomping all over these freedom-loving patriots. What lengths are these tyrannical dictators willing to go to? Who's behind the DDoS or bot attacks? I believe there should be a full investigation into this to find out who's trying to stop these people from legitimately raising funds. They have the right to raise funds for their movement, or they should in a free society. But we are seeing increasingly more and more, we don't live in a free society. We live in a new Orwellian nightmare for the last 2 years. This is ridiculous. FBI is Joe Biden's Nazi Gestapo. Oh, geez, what a user ID. And he says, Civil War for America coming. Great job, Canada, wanting to get rid of this beta male loser Trudeau. Let's go, Brandu. Let's go, Brandon. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. Relvis XX says the convoy organizers need a direct interact e-transfer link to receive funding without third parties. Yeah, I wish that I don't know what they can do. What? I don't really know what they can do. Okay, 1 second here, friends. Got to check in with our associate here with Spooky, sending me some good stuff to share. We are live right now covering the Canadian convoy. And I just want to mention Michelle has sent me a message on Facebook earlier today letting me know that it's Benny Grave Robber's birthday. Please, while you're on YouTube Live, can you wish him a happy birthday? Yes, absolutely. Happy birthday, Benny Grave Robber. Hope you have a great one. And have a great time with your girlfriend today on your special day. I hope you do something. I hope you do something fun today. 1 second. The honkening, friends. We are covering live the honkening. The honkening will continue until morale improves, right? Oh, yes, Spooky. Absolutely. I will do that. But I'm going to do it the way that we have to, right, Spooky, to make sure that it plays right. You know, we have these issues with streams shared from YouTube sometimes being pretty crappy. You know, you get a low frame rate. You know, we're trying to locate the problem, but it appears to be not an issue locally. We use a cloud service for our streaming software. I believe it is the cloud service's error. 1 second there. Somebody mentioning Michelle Embry is great. She has a podcast related to this topic. Yeah. Revelus XX says the leftists in the USA probably had a hand in derailing the funding, by the way, just a gut feeling. Yeah. And B. Baker says this is why cryptocurrency is important. I absolutely agree with you. You know, I'm still very on the fence, though, B. Baker, about crypto. And there's reasons for that. And that is, I believe that quantum computers will soon be able to break any blockchain. And so it's not quite as secure as people think. V's here saying stolen funds. Yeah. Someone's willing to take up arms. Yeah, we're trying to encourage peaceful protests. B. Baker again saying this is why crypto is important. I absolutely agree with you. One moment here, friends. I'm uploading a video to play us out with, which was just a great thing to play us out with. So we're going to be wrapping things up here shortly. We're already over 2 hours. I'm going to go back to our incredible live feed provided by Brown Paper News. One moment. Yes, Bryce says, freedom is my religion and it's racing all over the planet, thankfully. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I do agree. Aaron Flores says, if they solve P versus MP, crypto might be in trouble. You agree? Yes, I do. I don't believe it is quite as, you know, people think it's so secure, nobody can break the blockchain. I disagree. With enough computing power, any encryption can be destroyed or, you know, dismantled, right? Aaron Flores claiming Antifa may be clogging up the servers. Somebody is clogging up the servers. Somebody does not want these people to be able to fundraise. And that is extremely unfortunate. Extremely unfortunate that a, you know, peaceful movement just trying to fundraise can be messed with so much. That, you know, I believe that these people have every right to raise funds. It's a peaceful protest. They're an organization. Any organization should have the right to raise funds. And if people want to give them money, they should be allowed to give them money. But here we see the government stepping in, GoFundMe stepping in to stop them from getting their money. Now, apparently, someone's attacking the new crowdfunding site they're using to prevent people from being able to contribute and send money. Amazing. Yeah, I agree with you. Revelus says salt, seeds, iodine tablets to purified water. After that, books and people are important. Should hit the fan. And, well, I got an apocalypse cabin, so I'm not real worried. Freedom of religion is just that, freedom to believe in whatever you choose to believe in. And that's from Ripped Hits. Welcome, Ripped Hits. Yeah, and Philip Blair commenting that Iceland is joining in some of these protests. There is people all over the world right now who are joining in these protests. There are, last I heard, Brazil and Scotland and Ireland, and it's just amazing. It is amazing. So here we'll be sharing our live feed once again, courtesy of Brown Paper Bag News, offering you multiple views of what is actually happening right now in Toronto. Somebody yelling freedom here. Angel A saying, "Go fraud me" is rampant. And they shut this down. Boycott Go Fraud Me. I have contributed to many different GoFundMes over the years. I will never give them a penny again. Never. And many people share my sentiment there.
I'm a fan of your.
So here we have multiple live feeds from Toronto right now. We can see exactly what's going on here on the ground in Toronto. Bry commenting that Denmark has dropped all restrictions and mandates, waiting for the rest of the world to follow. Yeah, good. I'm glad to hear that. It's interesting to note that in some areas, these restrictions and these mandates never really happened. Bry, I have a cabin in the Poconos in Pennsylvania, and I'm here to tell you, I don't want to get anybody in any trouble, but nobody enforced anything. Not during the lockdowns, nothing. Everything stayed open around the cabin because it is sole proprietor, mom and pop everywhere. There's very little corporate places near my cabin in the Poconos. We've got a Lowe's, a Home Depot, and a Walmart, maybe a McDonald's and a few other fast food, but everything else is owned by sole proprietors, working people, middle-class people. The restaurants, the local hardware stores, the local supermarkets, all owned by small mom and pop businesses. They didn't shut down. They did not enforce any kind of mandates. Masks were non-existent. And it felt like a whole different world going up there, especially during the really, really, lockdown, masks, don't go anywhere but the supermarket time, when everything was shut down. Nothing was shut down up there. Those people just, did their best to mitigate the risks and still go on with their lives. Oh, this is 20 minutes ago. Thank you. Hold on here. We'll get there. Oh, yeah, it is. I am behind. So this is 20 minutes ago. I apologize, friends. But we'll time travel here. And now, here we are. This is live.
Not really comfortable with walking around talking to myself. I'm not really comfortable with hooting and hollering in a crowd.
This is Renegade Network News. You are watching Renegade Network News. I'm Stephen Cambion, your host, and we are bringing you live streams from all over Ottawa, Canada right now, sharing with you the truth the mainstream media won't. Here is what is actually happening on the ground right now in Ottawa. Of course, I think one of those streams is something else. But it appears to be here's my favorite, mostly peaceful protest, one of my favorite terms. We don't see any buildings on fire behind these people. Nobody's being violent. Nobody's throwing rocks. Nobody's, looks like there's some fireworks, but I think that's perfectly acceptable during a peaceful protest. Somebody have some fireworks going. The sound of the trucker is in love for peace and freedom. Yeah. Honk, honk, Justin Trudeau. How long do you think that you're going to be able to ignore this? Where is Justin Trudeau? Nobody knows, right? Where is he at? Ripped Hit says, I think he's referring to GoFundMe. They make like 15% off all donations, so they made somewhere around $200,000. Is that legal for GoFraudMe to take and keep that percentage? Not if they return it. I don't think it should be. And like I said, Governor Ron DeSantis has said that the Florida Attorney State General, the State Attorney General in Florida, and Ron DeSantis said today they will be investigating GoFraudMe for fraud and to check out this whole situation. And I hope that they get called to account. You can't just do whatever you want. You can't just steal $9 million from somebody and give it to a charity of your choice. Or you can't just allow, tens of thousands of people to donate to a cause and then say, we're giving everybody their money back. We don't want that cause to have the money. Yes, the Naked Truth says other crowdfunding sites are thieving even more, some taking as much as 50%. Wow. Philip Blair says stealing is wrong. Okay, I agree. They should not be allowed to do this. They should absolutely not be allowed to just take money that was intended for these peaceful protesters and decide that they can't have it. They're going to refund it, or they're going to give whoever doesn't request a refund, they're going to take the money and apparently give it to a charity of their choice. Great. Great. So comments or questions for me, please put them in all caps. Torvik says Trudeau did address it. He called the protests every ism and anti-word you can think of. Laughing my A off. I agree with you. Yeah, here we go. Trudeau and family moved to a secret location as Canada truckers' protest sparked security fears. Amazing. Amazing that this clown can say, I will not be intimidated, as he is running away to a secret location. If he's not intimidated, why does he need to run away to why does he need to run away if he's not intimidated, right? I don't know about you, but if I'm running away, I'm probably intimidated. But he, of course, released a statement claiming that he will not be intimidated after he ran away to a secret location. You've got to love the hypocrisy of the ruling class elite. Yes. Angel A says the Go Along, Get Along gang dictated that, confiscating that money. Yeah. Well, they seem to be doing okay. They got $1 million in funding. Hopefully that will be enough for them to hold out until they get additional sources of funding to continue in their peaceful efforts to effect change within their own tyrannical government. Philip Blair, I hope it's a real charity and not some Scientology weirdness. Yes, and Sixth Sense reminding everybody, please use caps for comments, questions, suggestions. Thank you very much. Yes, and Sixth Sense commenting, wow, these people sure look violent, all happy and stuff, dancing, having vittles, sure looks violent to me. Yeah, this is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that these people can call these people violent, right? Or a fringe minority. Oh, looks like somebody is hanging signs on the side of large buildings here in protest. Yes, Kepsa. Trudeau said he got COVID and then he ran away. Oh, that wasn't a big building. It's a big truck with signs on it. So I apologize for that. Phil Blair says, if Trudeau sees his shadow, how many more weeks of winter are there in Canada? Yeah, who knows, right? Identified S4 is here. Shout out to Identified S4 who says this looks more like a party than a violent protest. It sure does. And Aaron Flores says such a fringe minority. Yeah, fringe minority. The Naked Truth says GoFraudMe is returning the money instead of distribution. Thousands of people called in chargebacks last night. Would have been thousands in fees. Yeah, good for them. They should have to pay for that decision that they made. How How will Trudeau ever come out of hiding for the rest of his entire life? I think he should be ashamed of himself. Guy in blackface, right? Guy in blackface, saying that people are racists, right? Yeah. Excellent. Here's the man who says that these truckers are racists, right? Just Google Trudeau blackface. And it's not once that he did this. It's multiple times that he has been in blackface. When he was once asked how many times were you in blackface, and he couldn't figure it out. He didn't know how many times he had worn blackface. Here's him at an Arabian Nights party in blackface. Here's him again in blackface with an afro wig. This is the man that's saying that these peaceful protesters are racists. You got to love the hypocrisy of the rich ruling class elite. You know, we've seen it time and time again. They've got two sets of rules. What's good for them is not good for you. Trudeau is out hunting for the near mythical it's. Yes, Philip Blair says blackface is racist. Okay. Yeah, I agree. So there's Justin Blackface Trudeau calling these peaceful protesters racists. And we've got just a few more things to share with you before we wrap it up for the evening. You are listening to Renegade Network News. We are covering the protests live in Ottawa. 1 second. Okay, so I have a few more things to share before we call it a night here. Wow. 1 second, friends. I want to remind you that there are a few ways that you could support our show here, which brings you the truth that the apparent tyrannically controlled corporate media will not bring you. They're not giving you 2 hours of live coverage of this historic event in Canada. We are. So please support independent media. There's links in the descriptions for how you can help. You can help with becoming a Patreon member for as little as $1 a month. You can send a PayPal donation. By the way, I want to thank the PayPal donators. We had a few PayPal donations during that I have not called out, and I apologize for that. One second here, friends. Let me just log in so we can thank our supporters, and we read every single super chat. Make sure that you indeed support our efforts here. So I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. I also want to make sure that I thank that girl Jessica for a kind and generous $6.04 donation. I want to also thank Shell Shock for a kind and generous $5 PayPal donation. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and your support. And thanks to Threx as well for $25 PayPal donation. There's links in the description. You can always send a PayPal donation. You can send a super chat during our live broadcasts here. So something else to share here. In an article from The Independent, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his family have left their home in Ottawa for a secret location, the CBC reports, amid security concerns as thousands pour into the Canadian capital on Saturday in trucker convoys to protest vaccine mandates. This is actually from 5 days ago, but it's still relevant here. The Prime Minister's office has said it will not comment on Mr. Trudeau's location for security reasons. Yeah. So Mr. I will not be intimidated. He had to run. He had to run away and hide in a secret location as this freedom convoy descended on his seat of power in Ottawa, friends. Really brave guy, right? And again, you are watching you are watching Renegade Network News, and we are bringing you live streams of the protests in Ottawa, Canada, live right now. Does this look like a bunch of violent racists to you? A fringe minority? Friends, I am encouraged by the way this thing seems to be growing, and it's not just Ottawa. Now there are protests starting in Toronto, other cities in Canada, and also in other countries. There's people in Scotland and Australia starting convoys. This has become a freedom movement all around the world, and we're happy that we can bring you the truth about it while the mainstream media either lies about it, tries to minimize how many people, trucks are there, tries to smear these people, calling them racists or people with dangerous ideas, extremists, Nazis, racists, or the mainstream media is trying to not only smear them, but minimize how many people are there, how many trucks are there. It looks like the constructed narrative of big pharma, big corporations, big government is collapsing right before our eyes. And I, for one, am happy to see this thing. Let it all come crashing down. We will not comply any longer. We will stand up for our rights. It's important to note that many people have legal experts, not me, have commented that many of these restrictions and mandates are unconstitutional in the United States, or similarly against the Canadian version of their Constitution and Charter of Rights. It would appear that people are starting to wake up and say, this isn't a law. You didn't pass a law that gives you the power to do this. You're just making this up. People are standing up for their rights all over Canada, and other countries are starting to chime in as well. It looks as if the protests have been incredibly peaceful all day today and this evening. It also would appear that these truckers and their supporters and these protesters are digging in. They're here for the long haul, friends. It would appear that they are resupplying, getting donations of supplies, food, fuel, water, propane. Great, and I'm happy to see it. If you are in support of these people, please do check in with the Give, Send, Go fundraising, and let's try, if we can, to send these people some money. Hopefully, Give, Send, Go isn't going to try to steal their money like GoFundMe apparently or allegedly did. Steal is a strong word. Block. GoFundMe block them from getting the money that they legally raised for their movement. Revla says, take care all. Love, your friendly Canadian. Nice to have some Canadians in the office, in the live chat. Good to see you. Send me some maple syrup there, right? Just don't send me Canadian beer. I love Canadian stuff, but Canadian beer is terrible. I'm just telling you. Molson, really? Is that the best you guys could do? I don't know. I have a friend that likes Canadian beer. Me, not so much. So we are showing you live scenes from the protests in Ottawa, Canada tonight. It would appear that the protests remain ever peaceful, and we have gotten multiple feeds for you to consume. The mainstream corporate media won't bring you one of these live streams to show you what's actually happening. We're bringing you many, courtesy of Paperback News. Yes, Torvik is encouraging people to charge back GoFundMe. It costs them money. Yeah, good. They should have a price to pay for caving to unfair governments trying to stop their people from peacefully protesting. You have no right, Trudeau and friends, of trying to stop these people from fundraising, trying to stop these people from peacefully assembling. It's in your constitution, your Charter of Rights. They have the right to peaceably assemble, and they have the right to free speech. They should also have the right to fundraise.
But love you. You're on the right side. You're doing the right thing. Okay? God bless you. Peace. Everyone.
Yes, don't be fooled. The liberals and their friends in the media are misleading the public.
That's it. That's it.
Let me see if I can't grab that. Thanks for sharing, Sixth Sense. I have to, but I have to get it from the live chat, so bear with me. Oh yeah, we shared this earlier, Sixth Sense. It's the same thing that we shared earlier. You know what? I am going to share this, though. One second, friends. And we'll go back to our live feed for a little bit after this and try to wrap things up here. This is the tweet of the day. Canadian awareness tweets. All Canadians support our truckers and Truckers for Freedom 2022 for standing up for freedom in Canada, which has been hijacked by alt-left radical liberal cult and their tyrannical racist PM blackface. Yeah, and this would appear to be Canadian officials. The Soviet Union. How much longer can Mr. Trudeau ignore this? How much longer can he hide in a bunker somewhere while this is taking place, right? Is that for me? Bend over says, dude, get some sun. Yeah, I'm a pale dude, okay? Bryce says, Fauci spent $350 million to control the narrative worldwide 24/7. No, the narrative seems to be crumbling, right? Paperback News reminding everybody, please subscribe here. Go on over and smash that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. We'll be doing more live coverage of events, historic events like this, bringing you the truth that the mainstream media won't bring you. Yeah, so we're going to go back to the live feed now. We have a multi-stream live feed. One moment here. And this is live coverage of the protests in Ottawa. The fringe minority is not going away, Mr. Trudeau. The fringe minority is here to stay. The fringe minority is will force you to address their grievances. You cannot hide in a secret bunker forever, Trudeau. Eventually, you're going to have to go to Parliament. You're going to have to negotiate with these people. You're going to have to do something. You cannot allow the city to be choked out indefinitely. Yeah, Paperback News reminding you we have a Discord. Go on over to our Discord. There's a live feed is in the Discord right now. And you can follow it past the broadcast when we end our broadcast today. The Naked Truth says he's probably underground at some Canadian Strategic Tactical Command Center. Yeah, I believe that. I believe that he is. Yeah. The Naked Truth also saying, I would bet a lot longer, unfortunately. What do you think those trillions for underground bases was for? Yeah, he might be able to hide, but he's going to have to do something. He's going to have to do something about this. He can't just ignore this and let this go on forever here. Because what are we on? How many days has it been now? I think today may be the 8th day of the protests in Ottawa. Coral Ann says some folks dismantled their outdoor barbecue ovens and reassembled them downtown, selling hot, fresh burgers. Good for them. Chris Price says he's afraid. You can see it in his eyes. Prime Minister Blackface. Yeah, the cottage coward. Suddenly he's got COVID and he's got to run away to a secret location, right? The Naked Truth says right about 9 or 10 days now. Yeah, I'm losing track myself. It's been a while, Naked Truth, and I hope this continues. The honking will continue until freedom improves. Justin Trudeau, do you hear them? I hope wherever he is at his secret location, he could still hear those honking truck horns. That's what I hope. Yeah, imagine if this happened in the summer. Jason Quint, my friend from Canada, commented, imagine how many people would be there if this was summertime. The Sixth Sense commenting, it's cold up there too. I give him total credit for toughing it out. It can't be easy. It feels like negative 22 right now in Ottawa. That's crazy, right? Let's check in. It is 3 degrees right now, but with the wind chill, it feels like negative 20. 3 degrees in Ottawa. God bless these Canadians, man. Cold doesn't bother them. Me, I would tap out after 20 minutes. I go, all right, I protested. I held up a sign for 20 minutes. I'm going in where it's warm. So God bless them. May they stay warm and fed and safe tonight, and may these protests continue to be peaceful. It's beautiful to see. Peaceful protest really is an amazing thing to see. Let this government hear their cries. Let them hear those honking horns, and let them get their grievances heard here. It's only fair that their grievances be heard. It's only fair that the government hear their concerns. I mean, there has to be a way to resolve this to everyone's satisfaction peacefully. You know, people say trust the science, but they don't want to hear the science that contradicts their narrative, though. That's the problem. And they sure don't want to hear science from any of the people that are doctors and more, virologists and more, who contradict their narrative. And again, just to be clear, we don't offer any medical advice here. Consult your doctor. Consult your doctor and make the best decision for you and your family with your doctor's assistance. Well, the Rise says, I'd hate to be up there freezing to death. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the cold, so I don't think that I would really do well up there. Yeah, I considered driving up there, but then I thought, well, I don't even know what you need to get into Canada. I got a passport, but I don't know if I have a Vax card. And if you need a Vax card, I consider driving up there and doing live coverage. But the one thing that dissuaded me is that apparently the government is also stepping all over the necks of the hotels and motels in Ottawa, not wanting people to be, to get rooms for rent. Again, this tyrannical government is doing everything it can to try to get rid of these people. It's not working, and I don't think it's going to work. I mean, appears to me that every time the government punches them, they just take it. All right, you took our money. We're still here. All right, you shut down all the stores so we can't get food. We'll truck it in. We're still here. All right, you won't let us get hotel rooms. We'll stay in our trucks. We're still here. They're not going anywhere. Justin Trudeau, they're staying here. They're standing up for freedom. They're standing up for their rights. And it's not going to be so easy to continue to ignore this. These government officials are freaking out right now. They're watching these live streams wondering, what the hell do we do to stop this? I don't think these people are going to be stopped, right? I mean, these people are out there in ridiculous freezing weather. They don't care. Their resolve is admirable. And I salute them for standing up for their rights, standing up for freedom, and saying no more. These elite ruling dictators have got another thing coming. They are not going to be able to continue this tyrannical nonsense much longer. Paper Bag News says a protest had a rave inside Manchester Mall today. Good. Yeah, Torvik says people who booked hotels through Expedia had them canceled with no notice. Terrible. And I was really considering driving up there and doing this live coverage right on the street. I mean, it's a 4 or 5 hour ride, but I could make it, maybe a little longer. But I would do it. But I didn't want to get stuck there and have to sleep in my car for a few days because they won't let you get a hotel. And that's ridiculous. That's another way they're choking the media. They're choking the story off the media. If you're a media person, you can't get a hotel to go there and cover this event. That is ridiculous. This is what this tyrannical government is willing to do to stop you from seeing what's really happening. Yes, Corland, earlier someone here found out that the military said they will not support going against the protesters. Yes, we reported that earlier. The head of the Canadian military said they will not be involved in the police action here. They will not be involved. So think again, Mr. Trudeau, if you think you're going to order your army to go clear these people out of there, they're not going to do it. They're going to stand down and let these people protest. They're going to stand down and let these people continue to jam it in your ass, Mr. Trudeau. They're not going anywhere. The military is refusing to remove them. We've got tow truck companies refusing to help the police tow vehicles and more. We've got farmers racing in a convoy of tractors today. We've even had people on horses. There was hundreds of horses, people on horseback racing into Ottawa to support these people. Yes, Corland says the towing companies around Ottawa also refuse to work against the truckers. Oh, they're losing so badly here, and I love it, Coral Ann. I love it. They are losing. The tow truck drivers, they're standing down. We're not getting involved. We're not helping you, stop these people from what they're doing. The Canadian military, we're not getting involved here. It's going to take Justin Trudeau, I guess, to suit up in battle armor and, riot gear to try to get rid of these people. He's lost any public support. He's lost the support of his military. Even the truck drivers are telling him to go to hell and telling the police to go to hell. We're not the tow truck drivers, go to hell. We're not towing anybody. Though I did see a few tow trucks removing a few vehicles. Coral On saying, I love it too. Yeah, it's good to see people stand up for their rights. It's good to see people come together too and band together and tell the government, you are not going to get your way here. This tyrannical government better wise up. They're not getting their way. The military won't get involved. The tow truck drivers won't tow these vehicles at the request of the police. What else are they going to do here? They have to bend the knee to these freedom fighters and do what their people want. And by the way, we've mentioned it earlier in a poll, a majority of Canadians want the mandates and the restrictions to end. Why won't the tyrannical government of Canada do what their people want? The government should be there to serve the people. Quebec just canceled their reported charging citizens by the day if they have not get the jab. Good. There's another victory. And we have the city council and mayor of Saskatchewan earlier today releasing a statement that they are ending all mandates and restrictions by the end of the month. Now we've got Quebec canceling the charging citizens by the day policy if they don't get the jab. B. Baker, I 100% agree with you. B. Baker says, if you wanted to pick 3 groups to not go against, they would be farmers, truckers, and tow truck drivers. Yeah, I absolutely 100% agree with you. That is the backbone of our society right there. You want to be able to eat? You better do what these people want, Trudeau. I don't think that I don't think any support, what little bit of support in the populace Trudeau has left, will remain if people can't get food, medicine, clothes, whatever goods they want. I don't think any support that he has will last very long. If there's going to be supply shortages, the longer this goes on. You're talking about tens of thousands of trucks not delivering food and goods. And for many people that don't know this or realize, there is 7 days worth of food in most major supermarkets in a major city. They get truck deliveries daily to keep the shelves stocked. If these truckers just say, we're not delivering food until our grievances are addressed. Now, I'm not suggesting that they do that. I certainly wouldn't approve of them endangering people or making people go hungry. But if Trudeau is willing to step on their necks, they might have to get more aggressive with their tactics here in order to have their grievances addressed and to have these mandates and restrictions lifted and removed. Success says, gotta love that. Gotta love, yeah, love to the tow truck people who said no, we're not gonna help you. B. Baker saying we are winning. I believe so. I think this is an inevitable. This is going to come to an inevitable conclusion on the side of these freedom fighters. They cannot continue to ignore these people. Coralon, when the police did arrive to break up a line of protesters, the protesters started singing our national anthem. Yeah, I saw that earlier, and you know, I wanted to share that, but I'm getting lost in the deluge of data that is coming into me. For those unaware, we have people all over the world. I have friends in Canada who are sending me, things to share, and it has been quite an evening. My inbox is blowing up. There is all kinds of things that people are sending me. Oh, I think I found it. Yes, I did. Thank you for reminding me of that. So we're going to stop our live feed. I want to remind you that you're watching Renegade Network News, and we bring you the truth that we are the renegades bringing you the truth that the corporate media won't touch. So let me just share this. This is Freedom Convoy, hashtag Freedom Convoy 2022 hashtag on Twitter. And here's what happened. This is from Randy Hillier. He says, just a bunch of peaceful protesters standing in a nice circle, singing the national anthem together. These are the people that Justin Trudeau wants Canadians to despise. Good for them. Good for this fringe minority. Bunch of racist Nazis. Look at these racist, violent Nazis out there. Amazing, friends. Amazing the spin that people are putting on this event. And so we're back to our live feed. We're bringing you multiple live feeds of what's happening on the ground in Ottawa, Canada right now. The Freedom Convoy 2022 continues. And the honkening will continue until freedom improves, friends. These people are not going anywhere. Yeah, that's a good point. Ignoble Savage says, I wonder if Trudeau will resign. Yeah, he's enough of a coward to say, you know what? I'm not dealing with this. I'll just quit. Naked Truth says, what I am concerned about is the resulting shortages. Is that what Trudeau is banking on? That's the only card he has left. He's going to, if there is shortages, the Naked Truth, he's going to try to turn everybody against the truckers and make it their fault, their shortages, not his fault, right? The buck stops here, Justin Trudeau. If there's shortages, it's your fault because you wouldn't meet these people and do something about addressing their grievances and do something about this whole situation. He ran away like a scared coward to a secret, undisclosed location. Paperbag News says they built a city in under 9 days. Yeah, these are very resourceful Canadians, right? Jacques Fridaire, sounds like a French-Canadian guy to me. He says, was searching for David Wilcock, and I ended up here. We usually cover conspiracy land topics, including a lot of David Wilcock coverage here, Jacques Fridaire, but we're also doing a new show here called Renegade Network News. We're trying to bring people the stories that the mainstream media will not touch. Largely, I don't know where you're at, Jacques Fridaire. We're in the United States, and in my country, the media is completely and totally ignoring the Canadian Freedom Convoy protests. So we decided we would stream live and show everybody what's actually happening there, educate the public. Don't believe the propaganda. You know who else used propaganda? Nazis. You know, they love to call people Nazis while they're using Nazi tactics like perception manipulation and propaganda, right? Kepsa says Trudeau will do whatever Klaus Schwab will advise him to. Yeah, whatever his corporate and New World Order, one world government overlords want him to do. He's bought and paid for, right? Yes, and Amor Muse is here, says, beautiful, so many waking up. I agree with you. This is a beautiful thing to see, and I am encouraged by the courage of these proud freedom fighters who have had enough, who are standing up to a tyrannical system saying, no more, we will not comply. Paul Cargo says, yep, the truckers will be to blame for all the woes. I say they give them something hot to blame them for. Yeah. Paul Cargo says, the trouble is they look like a fringe minority, like something on fire. Light something on fire. Yeah, no, don't encourage. Let's not encourage them to light fires like we do in the United States. Things get out of hand, right? So far, we've had, here's my favorite term, it applies to BLM. Why not apply it to the Freedom Convoy? They've had mostly peaceful protests. And there's not buildings on fire here that we could see while I'm telling you there's mostly peaceful protests, right? Ignoble Savage says Trudeau just escaped in one of Wilcock's hover cars. 20 and back. Perhaps, yeah. On the Rise says B. Baker didn't notice the wrench looks good on you. Yeah, I meant to give that to him and I forgot. So I think I did yesterday or the last show that we did. Welcome B. Baker, chat room moderator and friend of the show. Yes, I agree with you. Aaron Flores commenting, if all goes well, children will be taught of this moment 50 years from now. Yeah, from your mouth to God's ears. I believe that this is an event of extreme historical importance that will be remembered for a long, long time. And for those unaware, I commented that this is really reminiscent. It reminds me of Occupy Wall Street. And for those unaware, I went there to Occupy Wall Street. I was, very disillusioned and wanted to protest these rich elite assholes who all got a bailout while everybody else got, financially destroyed. Their 401s destroyed. Everybody got screwed except the rich elite assholes who all got handed, what was it, trillions of dollars, the bailout. So I went to Wall Street myself, to Occupy Wall Street, and wasn't doing very much. So I would take a bus from Philadelphia to New York every day that I could scrape up the bus fare and a couple of bucks or something to eat. I was unemployed at the time. That'll make you disillusioned enough to protest not being able to find a job because the economy's in the shitter. But this is it reminds me of the movement, these people coming together, of the Occupy Wall Street movement. Now, Occupy Wall Street got co-opted by the left and destroyed. It was a good thing to start with, but it got worse as time went on. I was there early on in the protests, in the first few months after Occupy Wall Street began. So, but this reminds me of that, of these people coming together who are saying this is not acceptable. We will not allow our tyrannical government to do this. This reminds me very much of that movement. And again, Occupy Wall Street was largely peaceful protests. Mysterious Oklahoma. Better to die on your feet than live on your knees. Do you know I have a song where I use that as a chorus? But in my song, it's I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. Yeah, I love that saying. Great saying. At some point, you have to stand up and say, it's important that we remind everybody, listen, no one, I'm going to say it one more time, no one has ever complied themselves out of tyranny, ever in the history of the world. You do not comply yourself out of tyranny somehow. And, it's like they keep moving the bar here. Well, just a little bit longer. Just do this medical procedure. Now you need a second one. Now you need a booster. Now you need this. Now you need that. We're going to need passports. You're going to have to show your papers to eat a meal. The tyrannical elite ruling class think that we're all peasants and they can just continue to control us indefinitely. But I'm here to tell you, I think that this is really the start of something big. I think this is a historic event, and things are going to change. It's already begun. We've reported that Saskatchewan has said no more mandates and no more COVID requirements, as they're ending them all by the end of the month. Sixth Sense says, glad I look back. That was nice, Paul. Please respect YouTube guidelines. No more of that. I don't know what's going on, but thanks to the moderators who are keeping everybody, behaving there in the live chat. Yeah, Coran reminding everybody, the tyrannical government, like they defaced the Terry Fox statue. A few people did that. And then the truckers went and cleaned the statue. So, people saying that they're defacing statues. No, that's a few. You're talking about, there are tens of thousands of people that are part of this protest. Of course, a few people are going to go too far and do something that the majority of the protesters don't agree with. Well, you're entitled to your six-pack American. Is that what that is? Says this is over. The trucks are thinning out. Same 100 people from all week. I would tend to disagree with you. And remember, it is what time is it in Ottawa right now? It's late right now. Did you see the protests earlier? Yeah, it's 10 p.m. They're still on Eastern time zone. So am I. So it's 9:56 here. It's 9:56 there. It's 10 p.m. People are calling it a night there, six-pack American. I think this is far from over. And for you to suggest that it's the same 100 people from all week, are you? I don't know what you're watching, because we have shown earlier that there's thousands of people on the streets of Ottawa right now, thousands and thousands of trucks. The Naked Truth says, I disagree as well. There were tens of thousands more than the other days today. Yeah, today was the biggest. Friends, today was the biggest day of protests in Ottawa thus far for the Freedom Convoy. Tens and tens of thousands of people, tens and tens of thousands of trucks honking in support of their rights and their freedoms. Yeah, very, very good. The Truthseekers channel does not condone or suggest acts of violence at all. Please don't do that in the live chat, because if we miss you saying that and we don't address it, it looks as if we're supporting that, and we certainly do not support anyone suggesting or condoning acts of violence. We want the peacefulness of this protests here to continue. I myself am praying, man. I don't know if you are, but every day when I say my daily prayers, I am praying for these brave freedom fighters. I'm praying for their safety and their security, their well-being, and I'm praying that they all remain peaceful. And I wish the same for the police and the authorities. So far, this has been an overwhelmingly peaceful demonstration in support of freedom and people's rights. And we here hope that that trend continues. Yeah, it's dark and cold. It's normal that it's 10 p.m. They've been at it all day since like 8 a.m. today. Of course, it's normal that it's gonna thin out. That's what's going to happen. Eventually it thins out, right? But for somebody to suggest this is over or it's the same 100 people, no, there might have been 50,000 people right in front of Parliament today, all over, and in this protest all over Ottawa, right? So you're watching Renegade Network News. We bring you the news that the mainstream media is too controlled, afraid, or scared, quite frankly, to bring you. We want a free exchange of information. We're big supporters of free speech here, freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, and the freedom to peaceably protest tyrannical governments. And we want to support these people. I want to remind you once again that there is a way. Give, Send, Go. Give, Send, Go Freedom Convoy. I'm going to see if their website is back up. Yep, still error 502. So we still have the Give, Send, Go website to donate to these brave patriots is still under heavy DDoS or bot attack, causing the website to be taken down. Yeah, same 100 people all week. Tell me more. Well, there's going to be some disgruntled people that aren't happy with the narrative crumbling. Maybe that guy works for the Canadian government, right? He probably got sent here to say that. Yeah, live coverage courtesy of Paper Bag News. God damn it. Leave it to Spooky. I just start doing this, and Spooky says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start one too and compete with you. But Spooky's not competing, rather cooperating with me. And part of me doing this was all Spooky's idea. So thanks to Spooky for the amazing job providing the live feeds to us. Oh my God, Ottawa current temp 3 degrees Fahrenheit. This is why it's thinning out. Yeah, maybe it has something to do with the fact that it's 3 degrees. Steve B says, thanks for the courage, Stephen. We all have something to contribute, Steve B. And my contribution is to have the courage to stand up and bring people the truth of what's really happening on the streets of Ottawa today and tonight, and to support these brave patriots who are standing up, who are saying, we do not comply, we will not comply, we will not be controlled any longer. You know, the Spanish flu only lasted 2 years. I think we're coming up on being past 2 years, at least here in the United States, if we use the March, right? It started March, almost 2 years ago. We're coming up on the end of February, it's February. So as we approach March, we're hitting the 2-year mark. I think people have been very cooperative so far, but people, I hear that term. What is the term? It's not COVID hesitancy. It's COVID fatigue. I think that many citizens of both Canada, the United States, and the entire world, we're suffering from COVID fatigue. We've lived with the masks. We've lived with the lockdowns. We've lived with the restrictions. We've lived with people literally destroying our businesses. By the way, my business was one of those that the government destroyed. And one of the reasons I'm here today doing this is because the government destroyed my business with their policies. And I'm not alone. Many people lost their livelihoods, lost their businesses that they worked hard for years, slaved and suffered to create. And the government came in, shut everyone's business down, and destroyed my ability to earn a living. But there's a silver lining, I suppose, in all clouds, right? I got to create a new show called Truthseekers. We encourage you to subscribe here. Truthseekers covers mostly conspiracy land topics and strange things: Bigfoot, UFOs, flying saucers, ghosts, demons, and more. But this is a new adventure for us here in the form of Renegade Network News. That's right, we are RNN. We are the cure for CNN. And isn't it fun to see CNN collapsing right before our eyes? Couldn't happen to a better organization. They deserve it. You know, I grew up watching CNN as a child. I remember getting cable and being happy. Like, what's this? My dad said there's a channel. I remember the first time I saw CNN. We got cable, right? And we were like late adopters, but because my dad was cheap. But you know, my dad pointed out, like, wow, there's a channel for news and it's on all day and all night. And I was like, wow, that's great because I like news. So, you know, I grew up with Wolf Blitzer and, you know, the network you can trust, right? And to see what CNN has become in this last, I don't know, at least last 5 or 7 or 8 years, it's sad to me. They used to be a trustworthy news source. They used to do a good job bringing the news. Now they've just become a partisan garbage outlet that peddles garbage and manipulates people. And it's sad to see, but I'm happy to see them imploding on themselves. And God damn it, I was so glad to see Chris Cuomo get fired. Now we have evidence and news that that CNN has been colluding with the government to get more access. They do what the government says, and then they get more access than other news outlets. So good for them. May they rest in peace. Their numbers are in the shitter. You know, there's people like Joe Rogan that are beating them in live viewers 100 times over. They can't compete, so they're all starting to attack podcasts now are the enemy. Discussions, open discussions are the enemy. Having debates, we can't have that. But the corporate legacy, I don't even call them the mainstream media now. I call them the legacy media. That old guard is slowly dying off. Young people don't want to watch Fox News or CNN or MSNBC. Not any young people I've spoken to. They get their information from the internet, from podcasters that they trust. And it is a crazy world we live in that I got to go get the truth from a comedian's podcast because the mainstream or legacy media will not give it to me. That's the world we live in now. I have to get my news from a comedian's podcast. I have to get information from a comedian's podcast because at least he is being honest with his viewers. At least he is bringing us alternate viewpoints and allowing discussion and debate. And what does he get for it? Let's cancel him. It's interesting that apparently Joe Rogan or Spotify, I'm a little unclear, yesterday removed some 70 episodes of the Joe Rogan podcast. Perhaps that is has something to do with this call to cancel him lately. Yeah, and B. Baker says CNN is getting beat by reruns of My Three Sons. Yeah, their numbers are in the shitter, B. Baker. You know, and from I really, really hope that someday I could beat CNN's ratings with this Renegade Network News thing that we've started. That would be a dream come true for me, right? Get more live viewers than them. I mean, some of the people on that network are just absolutely cringeworthy. I can't believe they gave this Jeffrey Toobin his job back. So apparently, if you work for CNN, you can get caught jerking off on a Zoom call, and they'll let you keep your job. Awesome people. Awesome people. No creeps at RNN like CNN. No. And I promise you, B. Baker, you have my word of honor. I will never jerk off in the middle of a live stream or a Zoom call here at Renegade News Network. We do not support jerking off in the middle of a Zoom call with colleagues and coworkers. Cake Revival claiming the show freezes their PC. Well, don't know very much about that. Paper Bag News says, it's me and a friend. We've planned this for months. Happenstance, I convinced Stephen to do it also. Yeah, well, it's good though. We can bounce ideas off of each other. We can share information and share resources. I'm happy to do that with you. Have you seen any garbage lying around? No, I saw people sweeping the sidewalks earlier. Idimond. I literally saw people sweeping the sidewalks, right, and picking up trash and cleaning up. Of course, they're cleaning up after themselves, right?
We'll have fun. Yeah. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to.
Idimond says, yeah, they put a Canadian flag, Canadian hat, an FU Trudeau sign. Bad taste totally, not defacing. No, that's not defacing a statue. That's making the statue part of your protest effort, right? Last year, the media cheered when they ripped down Sir John A. Macdonald statue. Yeah. The Naked Truth commenting, thanks for the awesome stream. Going to have some dinner. Peace and love. Nice to see you here, Naked Truth. Hope to see you again. Please smash that subscribe button on your way out. If you're not already a subscriber, I want to remind everybody that there's a few ways that you can support us here at the Renegade Network News. And that would be, the first way to support me, of course, is to throw money at us. There's a super chat button. We read every single super chat. You can donate by Patreon, or by PayPal. The link to do that is in the description of the video. Or you can become a Patreon supporter for as little as $1 a month, where you'll get extra content, sort of preview of upcoming projects and content. You get all of my music that I've been making and putting on Patreon, and a monthly show journal and more. We'll be doing some Patreon-only live streams for members only. It's only $1 a month. Please do support independent media. The other way that you can support me is to like, comment, subscribe, and share. For those that happen to be listening in audio podcast land, it is important that you realize that you're listening to, we appreciate you listening, but you're listening to a replay. So go on over to YouTube, put Truthseekers, one word, in this YouTube search bar. We're the first ones that pop up. That strange guy with the sunglasses, that would be me, your host, Stephen Cambion. Go on over to the Truthseekers YouTube and smash the subscribe button. Hit that notification bell, and you too will know when we're doing a live show. You hear us taking comments and questions from the live chat. It's a very interactive experience here, and we can't do that interactive experience without you. And you are most welcome to come here during the live tapings and participate in the live show. So come on over to YouTube and do that. If you're already a subscriber, then I encourage you to please like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos on your social media. It really does help us to rise in the search engine and allow more folks to find us here so that they too may get some form of the truth about what's really going on in the world. I'm a big supporter of independent media, independent journalism, and I hope you are too. This, my friends, is the Renegade Network News. So we've been here for over 3 hours, friends. Over 3 hours. I am going to bounce on out of here. I want to remind you all once again that one of the best ways that you can support us is to like, comment, subscribe, and share. If you're not already a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button on your way out here. I would sincerely appreciate it. We're trying to grow our bullhorn. We need a bigger bullhorn, right? In order to combat the mainstream media misinformation, disinformation, and manipulation of stories, we need you to help us to amplify our voice. And you can do that by sharing this video on your Twitter, on Facebook, etc. It really does help. Send it to your mom, send it to your grandmom, whatever. Anywhere you can help us get a view or a like or a new subscriber is really beneficial to our efforts here. On the rise, reminding everybody, don't forget to drop a like. It's free. And yeah, dropping a like on the way out is a great way to support the show. Also, drop a comment. What did you think of today's broadcast and coverage here at Renegade Network News? Let us know in the comments. I pin my favorite comment from every video that we make here. So please do leave a comment. John 7 is here and says, thanks, Stephen, for the broadcast. It is my pleasure and the least that I could do to support these freedom-loving Canadians that are standing up for their rights, that are saying no more, and that are trying to effect change within a corrupt system here. Sixth Sense advising people with some technical stuff. Coral On is here. Is it Ann or On? I'm always confused, Coral On. And I don't want to say your name wrong. You're here enough. You should let me know so that I don't misspeak how to pronounce that. It's a little confusing. I think it's Ann, but then I'm like, no, it's On. A-U-N-E. Okay. Paper Bag News says, I changed it. Don't worry. Yeah, somehow some UFO podcast got mixed in there, but it's quite all right. We've been here, Spooky, for 3 hours and 12 minutes. We have done our due diligence here every day. We come here, we're fighting the good fight, trying to give people the honest truth about what's really happening in the world. I am tired of seeing the media manipulate stories and manipulate the narrative and manipulate people. I want to see people get a more honest depiction of what is truly happening. And I feel somewhat uniquely qualified to be able to do that. For those unaware, I am not a Democrat. I am equally not a Republican. I believe the last thing I was actually registered as was a libertarian, but I'm really not even that. I don't align. There's no box for me. You know, I have some views that are very liberal in regard to like social things. I support gay rights and trans rights and gay marriage and all of these things. And then there's other views that I have that would be considered right-leaning. Like I'm a big supporter of the right to keep and bear arms. Big supporter of that. A big supporter of fiscal responsibility and not spending more money than you have. So, you know, my views, my point is I don't fit in any of these people's boxes. So I think I can be fair or fairer than a left-leaning show or a right-leaning show. We're going to try to be centrist here. We're going to try to not let the slant come in here. Now, I may have my views and you're going to be aware of some of them, and I may have my opinions, but I'm not on the team. I'm not on the left team or the right team. None of these boxes do I fit in because I have differing views about different things. And I think that's the healthiest way to be. For those of you that are on one side or the other, congratulations. You've decided on which criminals are the least criminal that you can support. I believe that both the left and the right are a bunch of tyrannical criminals that only care about money and power. They don't care about you. They don't care about your family. They don't care about your job, your livelihood. All they care about is money and power and getting more of it. So that's the state of the world that I live in. Your views and opinions may vary, but all opinions and views are welcome here. You are most welcome, whether you're on the left, the right, the center, you're libertarian. I don't care. I don't care. Everybody's opinion is welcome here. And I think, again, that's another healthy way to be. I don't like echo chambers here. So if you disagree with me, drop a comment and disagree with me. I will likely engage with you and reply. I think that, debate and discussion about all things is healthy. And we encourage that here. So what can I say, friends? We came here today. We fought the good fight. I have more shows for the Renegade Network News planned coming up. We're going to continue to cover this Canadian protests next week. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see what I have planned. And of course, there's new Truthseekers shows coming next week for those of you who are like, what's he doing? I want to hear about Bigfoot or UFOs or whatever the case may be. We've got some interviews coming up next week. Lots more to come here on the Truthseekers channel. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. I want to thank all you kind and generous PayPal donators, Patreon supporters, and Super Chat donators. Your support means the world to me. It allows us to continue doing what we do. So I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. I want to extend my well wishes to all those freedom fighters, and I will keep them in my prayers. I will be praying that they stay safe and warm and well fed and well taken care of, and that the protests remain peaceful. And I will be praying that the government is forced to hear their calls. The government is forced to listen. That's all they're asking for. And I think they deserve to be listened to. So until next time, friends, thanks for joining us here on Renegade Network News. My name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.
Your country's in revolt. Do you know about this? Show this video.
Obligatoire. Ah oui, hein?
Those who refuse will have to pay a new health contribution.
Ils sont extrémistes.
Qui croient pas dans la science, qui sont souvent misogynes, souvent racistes aussi.
We have one of the biggest revolutions happening. Right now, there's 50,000 truckers and about 1.4 million people headed to the Parliament in Ottawa, and they're going to stay there until Trudeau resigns or they give us back all of our freedoms and rights.
Every overpass is packed with Canadians. Look at this right here. Look at this. Yes! God bless Canada. God bless every single one of you truckers and every single one of you Canadians that are supporting this movement. This is not a fringe. We will not be divided. We stand together. We will win this country back.
I was at a point where I was giving up on Canada, and you guys have given me hope. You guys are giving us strength. You guys are keeping us going. And wow, we are one big team, one big national team. The entire world is watching us. I firmly believe this is our last stand, and we are not coming home until you are all free.
The honking will continue until freedom improves. What a moment in Canadian history! I love you, Canada!
The small fringe minority holding unacceptable views that they're expressing do not represent the views of Canadians.
In the last 6 years, Trudeau has changed the face of this country. So that's what brought me here.
We're all Canadians, we're all truckers.